In the dead of night, within the upper-class green bamboo area of Jinhai City, Feng sat silently on a leather sofa, holding a folder of documents. He gazed at the pool outside through the French window, frustration and unwillingness etched across his face as the captain of Shadow, one of Jinhai City's top 4 gaming workshops. Feng had commanded a guild of tens of thousands and earned renown as the sword magician, yet now, all he could do was drown his sorrows and drink at home. He had spent 10 years immersed in gaming, fighting blood-soaked battles and enduring countless trials. Under his leadership, Shadow had established 10 city-states in God's domain, rivaling first-rate guilds, but before he could enjoy his hard-earned glory, a single document destroyed everything. Once lost, it was gone. Forever. Feng never imagined his decade of effort would be wasted. He sacrificed everything for the game only to pave the way for others. His downfall began when he opposed Shadow's decision to join the Super Guild World Dominators. The next day, Manhwa Financial Group responded. He must delete his level 200 Sword King account, the result of 10 years of toil, and collect his settlement from the financial department. He received only 5,000,000 credits and a mansion, a pittance compared to the 10 city-states generating wealth in the virtual kingdom. Reflecting on his contributions to Shadow and Manhwa Group's rise, Feng vowed revenge. He tore the termination contract into pieces and, with eyes flashing determination, downed several mouthfuls from a wine bottle. Even without his Sword King account or team support, his skills and knowledge from the game remained. As long as those endured, he could rise again in God's domain and rebuild his own virtual kingdom. At early morning, as the sun rose, a phone alarm rang persistently. Feng awoke reluctantly, reaching for his phone beside the bed, still feeling the effects of last night's drinking. Voice on the line identified himself as Blackie, reminding Feng that Shadow Workshop was recruiting at their school today and urging him to attend the 10 o'clock test. Feng was confused. Having just been fired by Manhwa Financial Group, Blackie insisted Shadow had not yet recruited anyone and urged him to hurry before cutting the call. Looking at the phone, Feng realized it was not his usual latest iPhone 12 but an old, broken iPhone 6. He inspected his surroundings. A messy room no larger than 15 square meters, scattered with books on gaming strategies, an outdated laptop on a corner desk, and a wardrobe filled with disorganized clothes. A mirror on the wardrobe door reflected a familiar face. Feng jumped in shock, recognizing his younger self. He approached the mirror repeatedly, confirming that he had become young again. He remembered sleeping in a spacious, luxurious bedroom yesterday, but now he was in this dilapidated room. Not only that, but he had returned to his younger self. Memories surfaced. He had lived here 10 years ago, reluctantly renting this small place during university while playing God's domain. Only after earning some money in the game had he moved to a large condominium. His family's financial situation had been poor then. His parents had incurred debts to support his university education, sending him living expenses despite their own hardships. Determined to change his family's fate, Feng had chosen to become a professional gamer, purchasing a virtual gaming helmet and training arduously. Bread and instant noodles were his staple meals, and he avoided social gatherings to save money, becoming invisible among classmates. His wallet rarely held more than 10 credits, and he hesitated even to buy a ham sausage costing 1 credit, which a sympathetic salesperson offered at a discount. Feng wondered if this was a prank but rejected the idea. Even the most developed countries did not possess rejuvenation technology, and who would joke with a poor old man like him? He checked the time on his phone, April 19th, 2129, realizing the date was 10 years earlier than the current August 5th, 2139. Feng bitterly smiled, suspecting reincarnation. Powered on the laptop to verify the date online. After minutes of browsing, he found all information confirmed the date as April 19th, 2129. The official God's Domain website showed the game's release countdown as 6 days away. On April 25th, Feng stared at the news, tears welling in his eyes, overwhelmed by a mixture of regret, sadness, and joy. He had truly returned 10 years into the past. The scene unfolded in a quiet university hallway, where Feng gazed at a family photo on his phone, noting his parents' white hair and his mother's wrinkles, signs of their aging and hardship. A year and a half after God's Domain's release, Feng realized the toll the debts and stress had taken on his parents, who had fallen gravely ill. Despite his efforts to earn money as a squad captain in Shadow, the funds fell short to cover their medical expenses, and his parents passed away months later. The pain of failing to care for them lingered deeply within him. Now, having returned 10 years into the past, Feng resolved to change everything. He silently vowed to earn enough money to cure his parents and give them a life free of worries. As he prepared to leave for the university test, Blackie called repeatedly, urging him to hurry, but Feng dressed calmly. Before heading to Jinhai University, arriving at teaching block 1, Feng spotted Blackie, a tall, tanned youth pacing anxiously. Blackie expressed relief that registration was still open and urged Shi Feng to hurry. Decided to sign up. Shi Feng shook his head and told Blackie that he would not be joining Shadow but planned to open his own workshop, inviting Blackie to join him. Blackie, who had met Shi Feng in another virtual reality game and had administrative talent despite lacking gaming skills, was taken aback by the sudden proposal. He lowered his head in silence before raising it to question Shi Feng about the costs involved, the expensive virtual gaming helmets, the need for at least 6 people to start a workshop, and the high startup funds of 70 to 80,000 credits, not including follow-up investments. He asked if Shi Feng had that much money. Knowing his friend's difficult circumstances, Shi Feng admitted he currently lacked the funds even for a single virtual gaming helmet and recalled that Lan Hailong had spent over 5 million credits to recruit 100 members for his workshop. Blackie suggested it would be safer to join Shadow, which could provide gaming helmets and steady support, rather than risking failure by starting anew. Ignoring Blackie's concerns, Shi Feng insisted on starting his own workshop, refusing to be controlled by others, and asked again if Blackie would join him. Despite the risks and lack of guarantees, Blackie hesitated but eventually agreed to start a workshop with Shi Feng, though he worried about how they would obtain the virtual gaming helmets necessary to play. Shi Feng smiled and reassured Blackie, explaining that God's Domain offered a trial period for university students, allowing them to borrow gaming helmets for free for 10 days upon showing student identification. He suggested they go check it out. Blackie's face turned pale at the thought of what would come after the 10-day trial, but he chose to trust Shi Feng's confidence and steadiness, deciding to venture forward alongside him. Shi Feng and Blackie wondered what they could accomplish with 10 days in God's Domain. They knew they would miss the workshop's recruitment period after that time, and eventually they would have to purchase gaming helmets. But where would the money come from? Even professional gamers with teams wouldn't be able to earn 16,000 credits within the first 10 days of God's Domain's opening. Shi Feng reassured Blackie, confidently stating he would handle the money problem. He smiled as he clapped Blackie's shoulders, declaring that, as a reincarnated person, he would overcome any challenge, and the release of God's Domain marked the beginning of his rise. Shi Feng then took Blackie to retrieve the virtual gaming helmets and spent all his money on 2 large boxes of instant noodles, which he placed under his desk in his rented house, enough to last over 10 days. After briefing Blackie on some aspects of God's Domain, Shi Feng quietly awaited the game's opening. At 9 p.m. on April 25th, in a dark and silent room, a few glimmers of light flickered alive. Shi Feng lay on his bed, gently pressing the start button as he closed his eyes, declaring to himself that he was entering God's Domain. God's Domain accommodated most players by allowing gameplay while sleeping, within game time passing differently from reality. 2 hours in game equaled 1 hour in reality. Each in-game day lasted 48 hours, with 30 hours of daytime and 18 hours of night to enable working class players to enjoy the game. Nighttime in reality corresponded to daytime in-game. Upon entering God's Domain, Shi Feng passed through a multicolored tunnel and arrived at a solemn golden temple. A palm-sized female angel with 4 pairs of wings flew toward him and introduced herself as Gabriel, the navigation angel. She explained the 4 main categories and 12 main jobs. Inviting Shi Feng to choose his preferred job, Gabriel waved her small hand, causing an illustration of the 12 main jobs to appear before Shi Feng. Categorized into 4 classes: warriors, shield warrior, guardian knight, berserker; weapons specialists, swordsman, assassin, ranger; healers, cleric, druid, oracle; and mages, elementalist, summoner, cursemancer. Warriors specialized in defense, weapons specialists in physical damage, healers in healing, and mages in magical damage, each with unique battle styles. Having invested too much in the swordsman job, he chose it again without hesitation. The system confirmed his job selection and requested a character name. Shi Feng named his character Yifeng, the same as in his previous life. The system then offered a 15% adjustment to his character's appearance, which Shi Feng accepted to avoid recognition, though the new appearance was less handsome. Next, the system asked Shi Feng to select a birthplace within the Star Moon Kingdom. A map displaying tens of cities appeared, but players could only choose cities within their real-life country. Shi Feng chose White River City, the 5th-ranked city in the Star Moon Kingdom and an important northern city where many workshops developed to avoid conflicts among large guilds. The system confirmed the city selection and informed Shi Feng that he would arrive in Red Leaf Town of White River City in 3 seconds. The scene blurred as Shi Feng was transported. Shi Feng arrived in Red Leaf Town, where the medieval-style buildings were chaotically arranged and NPCs filled the bustling streets. He stood before a church, his new appearance resembling a penniless swordsman wearing gray novice leather armor and carrying a novice sword at his waist. He smiled faintly, recognizing the familiar sight of the small town and feeling confidence welling within him. Around him, many players wandered the town, speaking to NPCs to obtain quest trials, while others ventured into the wilderness to hunt monsters, each engrossed in their tasks, ignoring the other players. players. Shifeng summoned his attribute panel with a slight wave and touch of his finger. The panel displayed his character. Information: Yifeng, a human affiliated with the Star Moon Kingdom with no title, job as swordsman, level 0, 100 HP, 13 physical attack power, 4 defense, 3 attack speed, and 4 movement speed. His attributes included strength 5, agility 3, endurance 4, intelligence 2, and vitality 2 with 4 free tribute points. His weapon mastery showed 1, handed sword mastery plus 5 and 2, handed sword mastery plus 5 at apprentice rank, both increasing sword damage by 5%. He had no free mastery points. His job talents included sword related mastery plus 5, gaining 8 free mastery points every 5 levels, and a 50% increase in sword related skill proficiency. Skills included chop, an active sword skill dealing an additional 8 points of damage with a 5-second cooldown, currently at level 1 with 0 proficiency. His equipment consisted of a gray trash level swordsman's leather shirt with 2 defense and full durability, and a gray trash level novice sword requiring strength 3, granting plus 3 attack power and full durability. In his bag, Shifeng carried 10 pieces of bread and 10 pouches of water. Eating bread restored 10 HP per second for 10 seconds, and drinking water restored 10 MP per second for 10 seconds. All swordsmen started with the same base attributes, differing only in how they allocated free attribute points. Players gained 4 free points with each level up, allowing for unique build: strength increased physical attack power and attack weight, agility increased attack and movement speed, endurance increased maximum HP and stamina, intelligence increased magical attack power and maximum MP, and vitality increased MP and HP recovery rates. Each job emphasized different attributes. As a physical damage job, swordsmen commonly prioritized strength. In his previous life, Shifeng had allocated 2 points to strength, 1 to endurance, and 1 to agility per level, a very ordinary and commonplace distribution. Shifeng did not plan to allocate his attribute points as he had in his previous life. Without hesitation, he placed all 4 free attribute points into agility, increasing it to 7 points, which raised his attack speed and movement speed to 4 each. This allocation method was unusual, even among assassins known for high agility, who typically prioritize strength first to deal more damage and level up faster. However, Shifeng believed that for melee jobs in the early stages of God's domain, agility was the best choice, a secret that had only been discovered weeks after the game's launch, causing many melee players to regret their earlier decisions. After adjusting his points, Shifeng surveyed his surroundings. Soon, another large group of players appeared, their green rhombus symbols filling the central plaza and obscuring the yellow NPC icons, making it difficult to locate NPCs. Suddenly, Shifeng's voice communication rang. Black Cloud, or Blackie, was calling. Blackie reported that he had chosen the Necromancer job and was sent to Falling Moon Town, asking Shifeng where he was. Shifeng replied that he was in Red Leaf Town, not far from Falling Moon Town, and offered to help Blackie level up if he came over. Blackie protested, explaining that Falling Moon Town was 7 hours away from Red Leaf Village according to the map, and traveling there would cause him to fall behind other players. He suggested they level up separately and meet at White River City. After reaching level 10, Shifeng insisted that Blackie should come, promising he would quickly regain the lost time. Hearing Shifeng's confident tone, Blackie excitedly asked if Shifeng had beta tester information. Shifeng hinted at possessing such insider knowledge and urged Blackie to hurry over. Convinced, Blackie agreed and ended the call. Shifeng then walked toward a small dark alley in Red Leaf Town. Despite hundreds of NPCs populating the town, only a few offered quests, 10s of regular quests, 5 hidden quests, and a single unique quest, which vanished once completed by a player. The unique quest in Red Leaf Town had been discovered 2 months after the game's opening and had caused a sensation throughout White River City. The player who obtained it had revealed the method to acquire it, inciting envy among others, though the quest was no longer available to them. Shifeng had no intention of missing out on this unique quest in this life. Arriving at the dark alley, Shifeng encountered beggars in tattered clothing who quickly surrounded him, begging for food like wolves sensing fresh meat. These beggars had previously exploited a player who had given them numerous items without receiving anything in return, becoming a laughingstock among others. Shifeng shouted for them to get lost and drew his novice sword, causing the powerless beggars to retreat. He then approached a corner where a middle-aged vagrant lay. Unlike the others, this man did not beg but maintained an unyielding integrity. Shifeng formally asked if the man needed help. The beggar replied that he had not eaten for 5 days and requested food. Shifeng declined to give food outright but offered to provide it if the man paid an appropriate price. The beggar, eyes filled with anticipation, explained he had no money but promised to pay a sufficient price if Shifeng helped him. When asked what he wanted, the beggar seriously requested that Shifeng kill Cross, the mayor of Red Leaf Town. Although Red Leaf Town was small, the mayor was a level 15 elite with level 25 guards protecting him. Killing an NPC would would result in arrest, making the request akin to a suicide mission that no player would accept. Nonetheless, Feng agreed without hesitation. The system confirmed the acceptance of the unique quest Sherlock's request, which required killing Cross and bringing back the mayor's insignia, with the condition that players must not exceed level 10. Feng then set off toward the town hall, where the mayor resided. As Feng walked along the crowded path to the town hall, the narrow road teemed with players conversing with NPCs, tempting to obtain quests. The scene resembled a bustling market. Obtaining a quest in God's domain was difficult because NPCs possessed high intelligence and could engage in one-on-one conversations, requiring players to choose their words carefully to avoid being ignored. The competition among players was fierce, making even normal quests hard to acquire. More than 10 minutes after God's domain started, no player in Red Leaf Town had yet received a normal quest. In contrast, Feng's reincarnated status gave him a significant advantage. Not only had he obtained a quest, but it was a unique quest with a generous reward that even top-tier players who had played for a month would envy. Feng, having been reincarnated, retained the experience of leading thousands of players in the Shadow Workshop, where they had built 10 city-states. His knowledge of God's domain far exceeded that of the average player, especially regarding strategies for leveling up and earning money, essential skills for managing a workshop with thousands of players. While playing God's domain again, Feng aimed to leverage this information to gain significant advantages and build a strong foundation for future development. He deliberately avoided wasting time fighting over normal quests in crowded streets or competing with numerous players in the wild. Instead, Feng chose to pursue the unique quest despite its absurd difficulty to avoid the congested player areas. However, completing this quest required money, which he currently lacked. Every player started with 10 copper coins, enough to buy HP or MP replenishing refreshments but insufficient for weapons or equipment. The two-storied town hall, Feng encountered hundreds of players queued in an orderly line. A simple-looking male warrior within the queue warned Feng to line up to avoid causing a public disturbance. Feng calmly replied that he was not there to receive a quest and advised the warrior that waiting in line was pointless. The warrior, initially suspicious, relaxed upon realizing Feng had no intention to jump the queue but grew curious about why he would wait for nothing. Feng suggested the warrior kill mobs in the fields instead, explaining that fewer monsters in certain areas meant less competition and higher leveling efficiency. Warrior expressed doubt, fearing he could not compete with other players in the wild. Feng explained that the right location would have slow monster respawn rates and only a single low-level enemy, allowing a single player to manage easily. Intrigued, the warrior asked if such a place truly existed. Feng offered to sell access to that location for 20 copper coins, promising that the materials gathered there could earn more than 40 coppers in a day, with chance of valuable equipment drops. When the warrior hesitated, Feng proposed a 10 copper deposit up front, with the remainder payable after proving the location's value. After Feng turned to leave, the warrior called him back and handed over 10 coppers. Trusting the expert, Feng then revealed the grinding spot, a remote area with a single mage, type level 0 green gnome, low defense, quick respawn, and a higher chance of dropping money, ideal for a berserker. The warrior, impressed by Feng's knowledge, suspected he might be a beta tester and grew more excited. The warrior, now calling Feng brother expert, asked about locations that dropped berserker skill books. Feng replied that such information would cost 2 silvers, a sum far beyond the warrior's means. The warrior then added Feng as a friend under the name Lonely Snow, promising to contact him again once he saved enough money. Feng accepted the friend request, and Lonely Snow happily left the queue to head toward the grinding location, promising to mail Feng the remaining 10 coppers after earning enough. Now that Feng had money, he walked towards the fruit stall by the town hall and asked the vendor how much a ripe, red tomato cost. The vendor replied it was 2 coppers each. Feng bought 10 tomatoes, paying 20 coppers, then entered the town hall with the tomatoes in hand. Feng bypassed the queue to approach the town mayor. Other players in line shouted at him for cutting ahead, warning him about the number of people waiting behind. Feng calmly explained he was not there to receive a quest but just to look, then turned his attention to the fat town mayor, Cross, an elite NPC at level 15 with full HP and MP. Feng bit into one of the ripe tomatoes, prompting confusion and disbelief from the other players who saw the expensive fruit as a luxury. Without warning, Feng threw the tomato at Cross's face, splattering bright red juice all over him. The system notified that Cross's favorability towards Feng had decreased by 100 points. Unsatisfied, Feng threw another tomato, shouting insults at Cross, calling him a hypocrite, fatty, and bloodsucker unfit to be mayor. Cross's favorability continued to plummet as more tomatoes hit him, covering his body in juice and turning his face bright red. The players inside the town hall were stunned silent, unable to comprehend Feng's audacity to attack the town leader, especially so early after the game's opening. None of the players knew that insulting an NPC was not considered an attack, so neither the guards nor Cross reacted aggressively. However, after Shurfang's last tomato hit, Cross's favorability dropped to hostile. His level became obscured by question marks, and his yellow marker turned crimson red. Cross roared furiously and charged at Shurfang inside the town hall. Cross moved with high speed, arriving in front of Shurfang and striking out with his fist. The other players watched eagerly. Knowing Cross was a level 15 elite whose single strike could kill them, Shurfang remained calm, unsheathing his novice sword and using it to block the punch. Impact sent Shurfang flying, but he flipped midair and landed steadily, losing 84 HP and causing the sword's durability to drop by 1 point. The players gasped, realizing Shurfang was far more skilled than he appeared. Though Cross was a mage with low physical damage, his level made him lethal. Shurfang's agility and attack speed had allowed him to survive the blow. Cross roared again, his clothes tearing to reveal pitch black fur as he transformed into a werewolf with sharp fangs. The players were shocked to see the mayor's true form as an evil creature. Cross appeared behind Shurfang and slashed at his heart with snowy claws. Despite having only 16 HP left, Shurfang grinned coldly as Cross's claws halted just centimeters from him. A level 25 guard charged at Cross, causing him to faint for 1 second. Shurfang seized the opportunity to move away before Cross could recover and attack again. Another level 25 guard intervened. Though neither guard was elite, their combined charge and normal attacks dealt 300 HP damage each, reducing Cross's HP by 600 points to 1700. Shurfang chuckled at Cross's weakened state. Noting the guard's high attack power, the guards were tasked with protecting the town and combating evil forces. Since Cross had revealed himself as a werewolf and not human, the guards treated him as a monster and attacked accordingly. While Sherlock's quest conditions seemed harsh on the surface, players only needed to survive the mayor's first attack and then rely on the guards to finish the fight after the mayor's transformation. In Shurfang's previous life, the unique quest had shocked all of White River City because the town mayor was a spy for the forces of evil. This quest revealed to players that NPCs could not be entirely trusted, as some might secretly serve evil forces. The player who completed the quest had astonished everyone with his strategy of baiting the town mayor, revealing the method to show off his efforts. Shurfang, however, was now exploiting the strategy. Cross was under attack by 2 guards who dealt high damage, but he never shifted his target away from Shurfang, continuously aiming to kill him. The 2 guards stuck closely to Cross, with one using Bone Crusher and the other Thundering Strike, drastically reducing Cross movement speed. Shurfang managed to escape death thanks to his 5 points of movement speed, while Cross over 2000 HP was nearly depleted. As Cross weakened, other players grew restless, eager to land the final blow on the mayor, hoping for valuable drops from the level 15 elite. They did not understand why the guards attacked Cross instead of Shurfang, but the prospect of rare loot motivated them. Hidden far away, Shurfang smiled disdainfully at their thoughts. The town mayor was still considered friendly by other players despite being part of the quest's evil forces, making it impossible to attack him directly. When Cross had only 100 HP left, all the other players rushed simultaneously toward him, seeking to claim the final strike and the dropped items. Seeing Cross close to death, Shurfang also dashed forward. In the end, Cross died under the guard's blades before any player could land a hit. Shurfang refrained from attacking to avoid risk, immediately taking the mayor's insignia after Cross' death and disappearing into the crowd. NPCs in cities yielded no EXP or loot if killed, and Shurfang would not have obtained the insignia without the quest. Rookie players complained bitterly about the inability to attack the mayor or receive drops, unable to accept losing the chance at rewards from a level 15 elite. Experienced players mocked the rookies for not understanding that friendly NPCs could not be attacked, questioning their knowledge of God's domain. The competent players then searched for Shurfang, hoping to find the expert who had killed the town mayor so cleverly. Despite their efforts, they could neither locate him nor learn his name, feeling a secret pity. News of town mayor Cross' death spread rapidly throughout Red Leaf Village, causing a sensation among players. At this early stage of the game, where players still focused on grinding monsters for levels, the ease with which the town leader was defeated was astonishing. Within 30 minutes of God's Domain's launch, a news thread appeared on the official forums titled, "Mysterious Swordsman Kills Level 15 Elite, Red Leaf Town Mayor." The leader was a werewolf in disguise. What kind of game is God's Domain? The thread quickly amassed over 10 million views, sparking widespread curiosity about the mysterious swordsman, though no one could contact him. Since his name was unknown by then, Shurfang had arrived in a dark alley. He handed the silver-colored mayor's insignia to the beggar Sherlock, who had requested it. With the quest completed, bad news awaited players who had already accepted or were attempting to accept the quest from the mayor, as Cross would no longer respawn. Players would have no way to submit the quest even if completed, and Red Leaf Town would would be left without a mayor, though Shifeng cared little for that. Sherlock expressed gratitude, stating that he had finally avenged his friend and handed Shifeng a delicate little box before taking the mayor's insignia and leaving the alley. The system announced the completion of the unique quest Sherlock's Request, rewarding Shifeng with 2,000 EXP, 20 free mastery points, and luxurious ornament box. Shifeng leveled up to level 1 with a Hua sound and was only 1,000 EXP away from level 2. His level was now the highest in Red Leaf Town, achieved just 30 minutes after God's Domain's launch. Normally, reaching level 1 required at least 6 or 7 hours of grinding monsters, as each level 0 monster granted only 3 EXP, and players needed time to find monsters and recover. Given the massive player competition at the game's start, taking over 10 hours to reach level 1 was average. Shifeng wondered if the generous quest reward was due to completing it at level 0 but remained pleased. In his previous life, the rewards had been less luxurious, the EXP was the same, but the other player had received only 10 free mastery points and a delicate ornament box, while Shifeng received 20 points and a luxurious ornament box. Free mastery points were extremely valuable in God's Domain, as quests rarely awarded more than 3 to 5 points. This unique quest had granted 20 points, hoping the reward would not disappoint. Shifeng carefully opened the ornament box, nervous about the contents. As the luxurious ornament box opened, a dazzling array of multicolored light burst forth. Fortunately, Shifeng stood in a dark alley, away from other players who might be tempted to kill and rob him. When the light faded, a simple silver necklace and a purple gold ring appeared inside the box. The ring bore carvings resembling the ancient elven language and contained tremendous magical power. Shifeng exhaled in relief upon recognizing the ring as the Ring of Gravity. He carefully took it out and inspected it. Ring of Gravity, mysterious, iron rank, equipment level 0. The Ring of Gravity granted strength +2, agility +1, and endurance +1. Its additional skill, Gravity Liberation, greatly reduced the gravity acting upon the user for 30 seconds, with a cooldown of 5 minutes. Shifeng became extremely excited upon reading the item's introduction, realizing it was far better than he had expected since it was not just bronze rank. Equipment in God's Domain was categorized into trash, common, bronze, mysterious, iron, secret, silver, fine, gold, dark, gold, and epic. The start of the game, players only received trash equipment, which was worthless. Common equipment was unavailable to players at this stage and expensive in large cities. Bronze-ranked items were extremely rare and came with additional attributes, while mysterious, iron equipment dropped only from bosses and was even more precious. In Shifeng's previous life, the Ring of Gravity obtained was only bronze-ranked, granting just 1 additional point to strength and a gravity liberation skill that lasted only 15 seconds. He was surprised that completing the quest at level 0 awarded him a mysterious, iron Ring of Gravity. The necklace was a gray item, coveted by NPC merchants who were willing to buy it at high prices. After equipping the Ring of Gravity, Shifeng allocated the 4 free ability points from leveling up entirely into agility, raising his agility to 12 points, his attack speed to 5, and his movement speed to 6. He could now nearly rival a pure agility assassin of the same level. Shifeng anticipated that his agility would reach 20 points after leveling to 3, unlocking the hidden basic skill of the agility system. Moving his body, he felt livelier than before. He believed he would no longer be at a disadvantage against Town Mayor Cross, and that, upon activating the basic skill, fast and nimble at agility 20, his physical condition would improve further, allowing him to rival wuxia experts depicted in wuxia novels. He then added 15 of the free mastery points to his one-handed sword mastery, reserving 5 points for future use. His one-handed sword mastery at 20 points, Shifeng advanced from apprentice to basic swordsman, increasing his additional damage with one-handed swords by 10%. He still needed 30 mastery points to reach intermediate swordsman, recognizing that regular attacks were basic for a swordsman and that skills were essential for expertise and flexibility in battle. Shifeng, an expert swordsman and reincarnated player, understood the need for many swordsman skills to maximize the Ring of Gravity's potential and level up quickly. Relying on normal attacks alone would not increase his efficiency in killing monsters. He recalled a black market challenge in Red Leaf Town's trade area, where players who cleared it for the first time could obtain a skill book for swordsmen. Most skill books dropped from monsters around levels 3 to 5 with very low drop rates, and no players were capable of grinding those monsters at this stage. Shifeng concluded that the black market challenge was the only efficient way to obtain a skill book in Red Leaf Town. In the trade area of Red Leaf Town, shops lined both sides of the street, including pharmacies, smithies, and bars, creating a flourishing small market. However, the area was less lively than usual since most players were busy leveling up rather than enjoying the game's features. Only a minority of lifestyle players remained, learning auxiliary jobs such as enchanter, forger, pharmacist, chef, and engineer, and alchemist. Many logistics staffers from workshops and guilds had set up roadside stalls in the trade area to buy items and equipment, offering high prices for herbs, ores, and high-ranking equipment, sometimes willing to pay with credits. Shifeng quickly headed toward a two-storied building guarded by high-ranking gnomes, marked Black Market. This place was the dark side of Red Leaf Town, an entertainment venue built by greedy gnomes. Upon entering the Black Market, Shifeng saw the gnomes' auction house and descended a basement staircase leading to two empty fields, one for the battle arena and the other for the challenge race. Several players stood before the challenge race field. Accepting the gnomes' challenge, spectators cheered loudly for an assassin player on the field, their reddened eyes resembling crazed gamblers. The challenge race tested a player's capabilities by fixing all attributes at 10 points, disabling skills, and rendering equipment useless. Players had to block or dodge shots from gnome muskets within a 30-yard long, 10-yard wide field, winning by reaching the finish line. The gnomes offered 3 challenge ranks: Copper Prize, Silver Prize, and Gold Prize, each with a cooldown of 3 days and fees of 5 coppers, 5 silvers, and 5 gold, respectively. Higher ranks offered greater rewards, including chances to obtain dark gold equipment. The first clear reward for the Copper Prize in Red Leaf Town was comparable to the Silver Prize. Shifeng's previous life, a swordsman named Fiercescale had earned the first clear and received a rare swordsman skill book. After a short while, the assassin on the field was struck, collapsing at the 20-yard mark, 10 yards from the finish line. The male assassin said after reviving that he would clear it next time if they still had money. A male cleric replied that the 5 of them had already given all their money and had none left. Shifeng shifted his gaze to the assassin and was shocked upon hearing the name Stabbing Heart. The player's body was covered in black clothing, and his short, skinny stature resembled a monkey. Shifeng could hardly believe that the monkey before him was Stabbing Heart, the assassin ranked number 10 on Star Moon Kingdom's assassin leaderboard. The assassin named Stabbing Heart shifted his gaze onto Shifeng, his eyes gleaming as if he had just found prey. With a smile, he approached Shifeng and introduced himself as the assassin squad leader of the Assassin's Alliance, then proposed lending 5 coppers in exchange for 20 coppers the next day. Stabbing Heart, standing just 10 yards from the final point, was unwilling to accept defeat. Having learned some of the challenge's patterns, he believed he could clear it with another attempt. He intended to use his guild's reputation to intimidate Shifeng into lending him the money. The Assassin's Alliance was a well-known guild in the virtual gaming world, respected by veteran players. A squad leader of assassins was regarded as a great expert, so most players would willingly give 5 coppers to gain favor rather than just lend it. After considering, Shifeng agreed to lend the 5 coppers but demanded 50 coppers in return. The next day, Stabbing Heart was surprised by Shifeng's blunt response, which was far from the reverence he expected. Despite his doubts, Stabbing Heart accepted the terms. Motivated by the potential reward, Shifeng took 5 coppers from the 60 he had earned selling the necklace and handed them to Stabbing Heart, reminding him to repay 50 coppers the next day. With tears in his eyes, Stabbing Heart accepted the money and promised not to forget. After the exchange, Shifeng walked toward the green-skinned gnome who served as the challenge race's administrator. Gnome greeted him loftily, asking what business he had. Shifeng stated his intention to enter the Copper Prize challenge and handed over 5 coppers. The gnome flipped the coins a few times, nodded in approval, and opened the wooden door to the challenge race, allowing Shifeng to enter. The gnome then announced the arrival of a new challenger. Introducing Shifeng as a brave swordsman, the male cleric pointed out to Stabbing Heart that the player who had lent him money was now participating in the challenge race. Stabbing Heart laughed dismissively, calling Shifeng a rookie who underestimated the difficulty. He explained that while the race was only 30 yards, the gnome's attack pattern changed after 15 yards, with increased attack rates that even he struggled to overcome. The male cleric agreed, estimating Shifeng would only reach 5 yards before being eliminated. Inside the field, 3 gnomes at the finishing line readied their muskets and aimed at Shifeng as the timer counted down. When the countdown ended, Shifeng leaned forward and dashed from the starting line with explosive speed, covering 3 yards before the muskets began firing. 6 bullets flew toward him. Shifeng sidestepped to the right just in time and pressed forward again. The gnomes continued firing, but Shifeng dodged every shot with the agility of a leopard, appearing to anticipate the bullets' trajectories. The male cleric was shocked to see Shifeng reach the 10-yard mark in less than 5 seconds, half the time Stabbing Heart had taken. Stabbing Heart watched silently, surprised by Shifeng's speed and precision, which resembled a veteran rather than a rookie. He speculated that Shifeng might be an athlete or martial artist, but warned that the gnomes would change their attack patterns after 15 yards, making it impossible to continue. Other members of the Assassin's Alliance agreed, noting that none of them had surpassed 20 yards after the pattern shift. They expected Shifeng to fail soon. When Shifeng crossed the 15-yard line, line, the three gnomes grew enraged and fired their muskets wildly without aiming. The bullet trajectory indicators expanded, showing a wide area covered by the shots. Only 3 bullets would hit Shifeng, but even one hit meant failure. Shifeng smiled indifferently, unsheathed his novice sword, and prepared to deflect the bullets. Though busy in his previous life, Shifeng had observed the challenge race enough to understand the gnome's attack pattern. Shift after 15 yards. The 15-yard distance of the Black Market's challenge race served as a test of a player's operating skills, marking the entry-level benchmark. Most players required 2 to 3 months to reach this level, some took a month, and only a few experts managed to pass on their first try. Stabbing Heart was among those rare experts. 3 bullets were about to strike Shifeng's head, chest, and arm. Stabbing Heart judged Shifeng's reckless dash toward the bullets as foolish, noting that the challenge would not end if Shifeng were hit by even 1 or 2 bullets. At that moment, Shifeng shifted his head and waved his novice sword, creating a white streak of light. The sword struck the bullet aimed at his chest, producing a spark and neutralizing the threat. Shifeng advanced another section of the distance. The 3 gnomes continued firing their muskets like machine guns, sending volley after volley of bullets at Shifeng. He faced 5 bullets at once, with others surrounding him to prevent dodging. Shifeng moved swiftly, waving his sword to deflect the incoming bullets. Air split as the bullets passed by his body. Within 3 seconds, Shifeng crossed the 20-yard mark, only 10 yards from the finish line. The male cleric expressed surprise at Shifeng's ability to block bullets with his sword, acknowledging the extreme precision required. Stabbing Heart fell silent, recognizing the difficulty of deflecting bullets with a weapon. Shifeng repeatedly blocked the oncoming bullets, which seemed to avoid hitting him intentionally. The male cleric noted that Shifeng had passed 25 yards and would likely finish the challenge. Stabbing Heart acknowledged this without needing a reminder. Shifeng passed 25 yards. One of the gnomes at the finish line drew an automatic musket and unleashed 20 for bullets from just 5 yards away, an unavoidable distance for players. Stabbing Heart shouted in frustration, calling it cheating, while other players cursed the gnome's shamelessness. Shifeng's expression turned grave as he faced the hail of bullets. He bent his knees and leapt forward like a leopard, darting toward the area with the fewest bullets to minimize exposure. He waved his novice sword, creating 4 streaks of white light that struck the bullets, producing sparks as he passed through the storm. Just before landing, Shifeng pressed down with his free arm and quickly stood up, rushing past the finish line like lightning. He completed the challenge in 14 seconds, breaking the estimated 18-second record for the copper prize. Shifeng remarked on his weak body, noting that if he were over level 100, executing 4 simultaneous sword slashes would be much easier. The gnome administrator announced Shifeng's success, prompting applause. The system declared Shifeng the first to pass the copper challenge and break the record, rewarding him with 1 silver coin and swordsman's skill. Thundering Flash. Shifeng was stunned to receive the super rare skill, which even swordsmen over level 100 rarely obtained. He found the skill book in his bag and learned it immediately. Thundering Flash, action, type, required a sword and rapidly sent out 3 sword lights forward, each dealing 130% damage and applying a damage amplification effect that increased subsequent attacks by 20% for 15 seconds. The skill had a 30-second cooldown. Shifeng recognized that swordsmen mainly dealt single target damage and lacked powerful AoE skills, making Thundering Flash a valuable asset that would give him a significant advantage early on. After learning the skill, Shifeng felt he was beginning to embody the potential of a true swordsman. He told the others to continue playing and reminded them of his 50 coppers before leaving the Black Market. Stabbing Heart nodded indifferently. The male cleric asked if they should chase after Shifeng, but Stabbing Heart scolded him, saying they would be lucky just to approach such an expert and that making enemies of him was courting death. Stabbing Heart decided to inform the guild leader. Grateful he had added Shifeng as a friend, he wondered if Shifeng, known as Yifeng, was a sword expert in disguise, acknowledging that he could not replicate Shifeng's magnificent performance, especially the last bout after 25 yards, which seemed impossible to block or dodge at the trade area. Shifeng met Potion Master Kevin and spent 120 coppers purchasing 20 exploding berry, reducing his wealth to 30 coppers. He invested it all to level up rapidly. Shifeng took the exploding berries and left Red Leaf Town, running westward. Meanwhile, all players were at level 0, killing level 0 monsters around Red Leaf Town. Some with better techniques formed parties to kill level 1 baby wolves efficiently, with a warrior tanking at the front and damage dealers and healers supporting behind, sharing EXP and facing fewer competitors. Shifeng had no intention of competing with the other players. He passed through the level 1 and level 3 monster areas, heading straight toward Red Leaf Forest, a level 5 monster zone where no players dared to venture. This stage of the game, players avoided level 5 monsters due to the vast difference in levels, HP, and attack power. A level 5 monster could easily overpower a level 1 player, and even a 6 Man Party was no match. The heavy penalty for death, losing an entire level's worth of EXP and a decrease in skill proficiency, deterred players from taking such risks. Red Leaf Forest, filled with beautiful maple trees, was off limits to players below level 3. Shurfeng, though only level 1, entered the forest cautiously, moving toward its inner reaches. Level 5 forest wolves patrolled the woods with 400 HP and high attack power. They could kill Shurfeng's 120 HP with just 2 bites. He avoided them stealthily, taking wide detours to stay out of their sensitive noses. Shurfeng also encountered level 5 bear cubs tumbling on the grassy plains. Despite their innocent appearance, these cubs had high HP and defense, making fights exhausting for melee players. Using a tree to bypass one cub, Shurfeng suddenly heard a wolf's howl behind him. He realized he had stumbled upon a wolf den. His previous experience, players had formed parties of level 4 or 5 to grind monsters here, attracted by the abundant loot such as skill books, leatherworking materials, equipment, herbs, and ore. However, wolf dens were dangerous traps. If players failed to notice one, packs of 3 to 8 forest wolves would ambush them, often wiping out entire parties. 7 forest wolves charged from the den toward Shurfeng, whose body was insufficient to satisfy them. Although the wolves were faster, Shurfeng's attribute points, all invested in agility, gave him a movement speed of 6, making him quick but still slower than the wolves as they closed in. Shurfeng activated his life-saving skill, Gravity Liberation, which made his body as light as a feather and drastically increased his speed, allowing him to shake off the wolves. After more than 10 minutes of running, Shurfeng arrived at a range of mountains and hills in the central region of Red Leaf Forest. Towering peaks rose over 100 meters, shrouded in clouds and mist, creating an ethereal scene. He spotted a waterfall and walked toward it. His previous life, players over level 20 had explored this area, and Shadow Workshop had sent a small party of assassins to investigate. They discovered a treasure mountain containing rare ore, herbs, and treasure chests, including a secret silver treasure chest at the peak. Treasure chests varied in quality from common to dark gold, with loot ranging from copper coins to dark gold equipment. Even the lowest tier chests could yield valuable items, and the secret silver treasure chest had helped Shadow Workshop become well known in White River City, amassing a fortune early in the game. Besides equipment, the secret silver treasure chest contained a rare pharmaceutical recipe and a forging design. In God's domain, the drop rates for pharmaceutical recipes and forging designs were extremely low. Forging designs enabled the creation of bronze, ranked equipment, which was highly sought after by players and a reliable source of income. Shurfeng planned to earn 16,000 credits within 10 days based on the design and had no intention of leaving it to Shadow Workshop. However, players below 40 agility could not activate the hidden basic ability, Flying Steps, making it impossible to climb the rocky mountain without paths. Although Shurfeng lacked 40 agility, he possessed the Ring of Gravity, allowing him to climb the mountain after activating Gravity Liberation. He quickly ascended 5 meters in moments. When Gravity Liberation had 5 seconds left, Shurfeng found a flat spot to rest while waiting for the skill's cooldown. Suddenly, the rock wall trembled, and a rock giant emerged, roaring loudly. The level 5 rock giant had 550 HP and immense attack power and defense but low attack speed and slow reaction time. Its body turned sluggishly. Players with 20 agility could easily outmaneuver it, and many assassins enjoyed fighting such clumsy monsters, killing them without losing HP. Shurfeng, prepared for the encounter, took out an exploding berry and threw it at the rock giant's feet, coating the ground with sticky orange juice. Although Shurfeng lacked 20 agility, he possessed exploding berries, each covering an effective area of 3 by 3 yards, reducing movement speed by 30% and turn rate by 70% for 1 minute, a powerful tool against slow monsters. 2 months after God's Domain launched, many players used such methods to kill high-level, slow-moving monsters. But these monsters were scarce, making rapid leveling difficult. The rock giant's speed sharply decreased after being hit by the exploding berry. Shurfeng drew his novice sword and rushed to the rock giant's back, chopping at it. 3 points of damage appeared above its head, a negligible amount compared to its 550 HP, and the rock giant regenerated 1% of its HP every 5 seconds, making it challenging to kill within a minute. When the rock giant tried to turn, its already slow turn rate was further reduced by 70%, rendering it abominably slow. Shurfeng attacked twice more, following up with another chop, causing a series of 3, 3, and 6 damage. Although chop's effect was limited due to level suppression, the rock giant being 4 levels higher granted a bonus to skill proficiency coupled with one of the swordsman's natural talents. A single-use increased chop's SP by 3 points, making this an ideal spot for raising skill proficiency. After much effort, the rock giant finally turned to face Shurfeng, but he quickly circled to its back and continued attacking. Using Thundering Flash, a sword light struck for 4 damage, followed by 5 and then 7 damage, increasing Thundering Flash's SP by 3 points. points. Several more slashes dealt a series of for damage hits, though each strike only increased damage by 1 point. The total damage was significant. Despite Thundering Flash's effect lasting only 15 seconds, it greatly accelerated the rock giant's defeat, allowing Shi Feng to save an exploding berry. The rock giant's high HP and attack were irrelevant if it could not hit Shi Feng, effectively serving as a practice dummy that provided EXP and SP. Skill proficiency increased not just by using skills but also based on the level difference between the player and the monster, a 20% chance for same level monsters, scaling up to 200% for monsters 5 levels higher. Since Shi Feng was fighting a level 5 rock giant while being level 1, his SP gain was several times faster than usual. In less than a minute, the rock giant fell. The system confirmed the kill, awarding 120 XP with a 400% EXP increase due to the level difference. Shi Feng's EXP bar grew significantly, leaving him 880 EXP from level 2, meaning 8 more rock giants to reach that level. The central region's mountains were excellent for leveling and treasure hunting, though it took 2 months for players to discover them. Shi Feng looted the rock giant's body, obtaining a bronze or used for making bronze equipment and a piece of hard stone. Searching the surrounding area, he found a rare herb called 100 Souls Flower, a core material for basic regeneration potions. As Shi Feng approached the herb, another rock giant spawned. He threw another exploding berry, then used Thundering Flash and Chop to quickly defeat it, gaining another hard stone, 120 XP, and a large amount of SP. He continued climbing as the Ring of Gravity's cooldown ended, killing rock giants and searching for rare herbs. After defeating the 8th rock giant, Shi Feng reached level 2 and allocated all points into agility, raising it to 16 points, just 4 points shy of unlocking fast and nimble. Chop's SP reached 300 points, leveling it to 2. The next level required 600 SP. The skill now increased damage by 12 points and reduced cooldown by 1 second. Shi Feng's leveling speed was extraordinary compared to other players, who typically took hours to reach level 2. He spent less than 20 minutes, leveling like a rocket. He approached a dead rock giant and searched it, discovering a piece of cloth armor. Somewhat disappointed, Shi Feng noted that level 4 common equipment was rare and valuable. He placed the gorgeous cloth shirt into his bag. Just as Shi Feng prepared to continue upward, he noticed a cave nearby. Approaching it, his heart rate quickened as he spotted a huge rock giant sleeping inside. Its body was made of silvery rocks, distinct from the normal gray ones. The creature was Shrews, a level 6 special elite with 900 HP. Special elites were much stronger than normal elites, requiring a dozen or more players of the same level to defeat. Without hesitation, Shi Feng rushed forward and used Thundering Flash, sending rays of thunder cutting across Shrews' massive body, dealing minor damage of 1, 2, and 3. Shrews awoke from its deep slumber, roaring in anger and causing the cave to shake as it strode toward Shi Feng with giant steps. Shi Feng immediately threw an exploding berry in front of Shrews' path. Despite Shrews' slightly faster movement and attack speed compared to normal rock giants, the slowing effect rendered it as slow as a turtle. Shi Feng's own movement and attack speed, boosted by 16 agility, allowed him to circle to Shrews' back and begin a fierce assault. A series of 2 damage hits appeared, followed by a chop dealing 6 damage. Shrews' defense was formidable. Even with Thundering Flash's amplification, a level 2 chop only dealt 6 damage, while level 1 chop would deal about. For only after receiving multiple attacks did Shrews turn around and lift its mountain-sized foot to stomp toward Shi Feng. As a reincarnated person, Shi Feng had experienced countless battles in God's domain and showed no panic facing Shrews. He nimbly stepped to Shrews' back, evading its sluggish attack, then launched a series of fierce cuts. After 5 seconds, Shrews regenerated 18 HP, leaving it with 886 HP, wasting half of Shi Feng's efforts instantly. Elite monsters like Shrews regenerated 2% of their HP every 5 seconds during battle, which amounted to 18 HP for Shrews' 900 HP. Its regeneration exceeded the damage Shi Feng could deal with normal attacks. Still, Shi Feng calmly waved his sword, continuously chipping away at Shrews' HP. 16 points of agility allowed Shi Feng to easily avoid attacks and maintain a high attack speed, enabling his damage to counteract Shrews' regeneration. Though killing Shrews required a long, dull process of constant evasion and relentless attacks, 15 seconds later, when Thundering Flash's amplification expired, Shi Feng's sword strikes dropped to dealing only 1 damage each, and Chop dealt only 4 HP, plunging Shi Feng into a bitter struggle. Another 5 seconds passed. Shrews regenerated 18 HP again, but Shi Feng dealt only 17 damage, insufficient to offset the regeneration. Shi Feng furrowed his brows, recognizing the difficulty in killing Shrews without sufficient damage. As he considered giving up, Shrews roared and stomped its foot, shaking the entire cave and causing sharp stalactites to fall from the ceiling, covering the area. Recognizing the danger of the party wipe skill, Shi Feng quickly moved away from Shrews, dodging the falling stalactites. stalactites. The rocks fell rapidly and in great numbers, making the cramped space deadly for any party. Only Shifeng's nimbleness and the somewhat spacious area allowed him to avoid the hazards. After Shrews finished its skill, revealing exhaustion, Shifeng's eyes gleamed as he rushed forward and activated Thundering Flash, followed by Chop, dealing a series of escalating damages. 4, 5, 6, 10. Shrews entered a fatigue state, a period of weakness after using a powerful skill, during which its attack and defense were greatly reduced. Shifeng seized the opportunity, attacking even more fervently, dealing consistent 4 damage per strike under the combined effects of fatigue and damage amplification. Shrews' regeneration also dropped to 1% during this time. By the time Shrews returned to normal, Shifeng had already reduced its HP by 15%. The ensuing battle became a test of persistence, with Shifeng repeatedly attacking to offset Shrews' regeneration, using Thundering Flash every 30 seconds to burst damage, then waiting for Shrews' next big move. The party wipe skill was a nightmare for groups, but a chance for Shifeng after Shrews used its big move again. Shifeng took away another 16% of its HP. Time passed, and after using 5 explosive berries, Shrews had 32% HP remaining. When Shrews activated the big move once more, Shifeng dealt another 16% damage, leaving Shrews with 16% HP. At 15% HP, Shrews' body began shrinking, its attack and defense decreasing while its movement and attack speed increased, becoming more dangerous. Despite the explosive berry effect, Shrews' faster attacks nearly hit Shifeng. Shifeng, only level 2, knew a single hit could kill him, causing level loss and skill proficiency reduction. He activated Gravity Liberation, making dodging easier, determined not to give up on a special elite with only 15% HP left. Shifeng circled and hacked madly at Shrews, each hit dealing 3 damage, slowly lowering its HP 14%, 10%, 9%, 8%, 5%. As Gravity Liberation's duration dwindled, only 7 seconds remained, and Shrews still had 5% HP. Shifeng would be one shot once the effect ended. His eyes turned blood red as his sword strikes accelerated just as Shrews had 10 HP remaining. Gravity Liberation ended, and Shifeng's speed dropped sharply. Shrews' face twisted into a cold, human-like grin as it smashed its boulder, like fist down on Shifeng. Die. The cooldown of Thundering Flash finished. Shifeng immediately activated it, sending 3 streaks of light through Shrews' body, dealing for 5 and 6 damage. Shrews' final 10 HP vanished. Shrews exploded into rubble. The system announced the special elite's death, noting a level difference of 4 and a 400% EXP increase, awarding Shifeng 940 EXP. His experience bar surged by 27%, bringing him significantly closer to level 3. Afterward, Shifeng searched the rubble. The special elite's drops exceeded normal elite rewards: an equipment piece, a skill book, and 16 coppers. Shifeng examined the blue, cross-shaped shield, the rock, iron shield, bronze rank, requiring strength 8 and level 5 to equip it. Offered plus 21 defense, 23% defense rate, plus 2 strength, plus 4 endurance, and plus 30 HP, boosting total HP by 110 points, about a third of a level. 5 warriors HP, making it valuable for dungeon runs and trade. The skill book contained parry, usable by all melee jobs with a melee weapon. It blocked a single frontal attack and had a 30-second cooldown. Parry was a coveted, life-saving skill for warriors, rarely sold on the market due to its utility in critical moments, especially against bosses, allowing healers extra time to recover. The player Shifeng recognized the value of these rewards and considered grinding Shrews several more times to capitalize on the lucrative drops. Shifeng examined the skill and decided to learn it. Although selling the skill book along with the shield could fetch a better price, he refused to treat it like killing a chicken to get an egg. After killing the Shrews, Shifeng continued climbing upward. The bronze shield held little value. The true fortune lay in the secret silver treasure chest. With only 4 explosive berries left and less than a third of the ascent completed, Shifeng chose his path carefully, aware of the frequent monster encounters at resting points. Half an hour later, Shifeng reached the mountain peak. The visibility was poor due to thick clouds and mist, limiting sight to about 20 yards. Having used all 4 explosive berries on rock giants during the climb, Shifeng could only retreat and start over if another monster appeared. As he advanced a few steps, blurry shadows appeared ahead. At that moment, an emergency system notification declared that Shifeng had discovered the Lost Lands, activating the hidden quest Past Glory. The system temporarily disabled his communications and prevented him from leaving the map until the quest was completed. Shifeng silently cursed the assassins for lying and withholding information. The situation at the mountain peak was nothing like their reports. Despite his anger, Shifeng remained calm. He reflected on how members of a workshop often concealed discoveries to empower themselves and amass wealth. Such secrecy was common among both core and outer members, explaining sudden rises in social status, like his own from core member to workshop captain. Feng reviewed the system's quest panel, noting the hidden quest Past Glory lacked any details. He suspected it was a region-activated quest, triggered only in specific areas and offering no guidance, requiring players to uncover its secrets themselves. These quests were unique, dangerous, and often involved monsters several levels higher than those in surrounding areas, making them nearly impossible for average players. He recalled the 6 assassins over level 20 who had completed the quest when it triggered with level 5 monsters. Since he could not leave the area, Feng decided to explore rather than give up, reasoning that death would only send him back to town. After moving through the mist, Feng spotted blurry figures ahead. A city long abandoned. The ruined city's size and magnificent buildings suggested it once flourished, surpassing even White River City in prosperity. Yet, it was now devoid of inhabitants. Feng entered the city, searching for clues about the quest. Hours passed as he explored tens of streets and hundreds of houses without success. He realized he had wasted valuable time while other players had already reached level 1, and he remained at 34% of level 2. He hesitated but set a limit, 1 more hour of searching before returning to town. Although such quests were precious, he had many others to pursue and could not afford to waste time. Time passed slowly as Feng arrived at the city's central tower, once a sacred ground for mages and the best place to learn magic. Now it was irreparably ruined, with even the magic crystal atop the tower shattered. Feng ascended to the observatory, surveying the city below. He found no special locations and was about to leave when a white, bearded old man appeared, greeting him as a young adventurer and welcoming him to the city in the sky. Startled, Feng noted the yellow indicator above the old man, confirming he was not a monster. The city in the sky was legendary, once home to countless legendary jobs and the famed demigod, ranked sword Saint Altair. Feared even by gods, the city had fallen during the Third God's War, becoming a regret of God's domain. Feng greeted the elder respectfully and asked if he could assist him. Elder smiled and declined help, instead offering to strengthen Feng through a test. Feng accepted, relieved to have found a trail for the Past Glory quest without dying and losing progress. The elder explained the test's 3 difficulty levels: normal, rewarding a mysterious, iron treasure chest; hard, granting a secret, silver treasure chest plus additional rewards based on completion rate; and hell, offering a fine, gold treasure chest with further rewards depending on performance. The elder then asked which difficulty Feng would choose. The 3 difficulty levels presented increasing challenges and rewards. The 6 assassins over level 20 had chosen the hard difficulty, returning with secret, silver treasure chests but concealing the additional rewards. Applying those were even better. After considering this, Feng decided to accept the challenge, reasoning that a reincarnated person should have courage. He informed the elder that he chose the hell difficulty, confident in his ability to manage it and the benefits it would bring to his future development. The elder laughed heartily, expressing admiration for Feng's energy but warning him not to regret his choice before disappearing. The system then confirmed the acceptance of the Past Glory quest, which required Feng to face 1,000 monsters of the same level, with the quest considered passed after killing 500 within a 4-hour time limit. Penalty for failure was a permanent reduction of all attributes by 10 points, a severe blow to any job. Feng noted the harshness of the penalty as countless specter warriors appeared below the tower. The countdown began, with 5 seconds remaining before the monsters attacked. The specter warriors were level 2 common monsters with 230 HP each. While fighting one was easy, facing an ocean of them was daunting. Feng knew rushing in was suicide. Instead, he planned to fight them one by one. Quickly descended the tower and positioned himself at the staircase, which allowed only 2 monsters to pass at a time, making it the optimal place to attack. Once the countdown ended, the specter warriors charged wildly but clogged the narrow staircase, forcing Feng to face only 2 at a time. He dodged their attacks with ease. Feng activated his Thundering Flash skill, unleashing 3 streaks of light that dealt 60 damage to all specter warriors within a 2 by 10 yard area, followed by a chop attack. Dealing 33 damage, the first specter warrior was reduced to half HP, while many others lost a quarter of theirs. Previously, facing high-level monsters with strong defenses had diminished the effects of Thundering Flash. Chop, but now, against monsters of the same level, Thundering Flash demonstrated its true power as a potent area of effect skill. With the damage amplification from Thundering Flash, Feng needed only 5 sword strikes to finish off the first specter warrior. To increase his killing speed, he activated Gravity Liberation to boost his attack speed, allowing him to dispatch each warrior in 3 seconds. The specter warriors did not grant experience points. Instead, Feng's skill proficiency increased by 1 point with each kill, steadily raising his SP. This pleased Feng greatly. The elder NPC had likely not anticipated that a level 2 swordsman possessed such a powerful AoE skill, making crowd tactics ineffective against Feng. 1 versus 2 scenarios, Feng Feng could easily dodge attacks while other players might have failed this quest. Feng executed it flawlessly. After 2 hours, Thundering Flash reached level 2 with 300 SP, increasing its damage from 130% to 135% and reducing its cooldown from 30 to 28 seconds. Chop's SP rose to 426 out of 600 and was close to leveling up. Feng's monster grinding speed increased further as Spectre warriors fell in batches. Only about 20 remained. An hour and a half was still left on the quest timer. Another use of Thundering Flash eliminated the last Spectre warriors. The Elder reappeared, chuckling and commending Feng's performance before presenting a fine, gold treasure chest and a pitch black longsword as rewards. The system announced the quest completion, granting 1 fine, gold treasure chest, 1 magic weapon related to Feng's job, and the title Might of 8,000. This title increased allies' attributes by 10% within a 30-yard radius and granted the user an additional +5 strength and +5 endurance. Elder waved Feng away, indicating he was free to leave Feng's vision blurred, and upon opening his eyes, he found himself back in Red Leaf Town's plaza. His system communication rang continuously as Blackie contacted him, panicked about falling behind others by a level and unable to reach Feng earlier. Despite his anxiety, Blackie remained patient, trusting Feng. Blackie had wasted 7 hours traveling to Red Leaf Town and was still level 0, while the streets were filled with level 1 players. Party leaders now required level 1 minimum, leaving Blackie sidelined. Feng apologized for the delay, explaining he had been on a quest, and invited Blackie to meet him in the central plaza to level up together. Over 8 hours had passed since God's Domain started, with Feng spending over 5 hours on the quest. Most players had reached level 1, and some professionals were nearing level 2. As a reincarnated player, Feng found helping Blackie level up easy, confident that Blackie would soon catch up to the professionals. After ending the call, Feng scanned his surroundings. Seeing no one noticed his sudden arrival, he slipped into an empty alley. He knew opening a fine, gold treasure chest in the crowded plaza would draw unwanted attention and risk, as such actions often attracted danger from other players or monsters. Feng was not an assassin skilled in stealth or assassination, and lacking sufficient strength for self-defense, he needed to maintain a low profile. After ensuring no one followed him, Feng took out the black long sword and furrowed his brows as he examined it. Weapon's description read, Abyssal Blade, magic weapon, job requirement, swordsman. Do you wish to bind the equipment? Feng hesitated over whether to equip the Abyssal Blade, feeling frustrated as he considered the weapon. He knew magic weapons were rare and powerful, lacking rankings but accompanied by a dangerous side effect called backlash that could cripple a player's account if mishandled. He recalled how, in his previous life, some top-tier experts in Star Moon Kingdom had risen through magic weapons but eventually lost their accounts due to backlash. Given the risk and his urgent need to earn 16,000 credits in 10 days, Feng decided to set the Abyssal Blade aside for the moment and kept it carefully. Next, Feng took out the fine, gold treasure chest, feeling excitement despite having seen fewer than 20 such chests in his 10 years playing God's Domain. Wars had been fought over these chests, and he never expected to possess one himself. He slowly opened it, causing golden light to spill into the empty alley, but he quickly retrieved the items to avoid drawing attention. Inside were 2 ancient books and a piece of battle armor. The armor, a secret silver rank called Sky Armor, had impressive stats: defense +25, strength +6, endurance +3, agility +3, and an additional attribute that reduced physical damage by 15%. Feng realized this armor would allow him to become a shield warrior at level 5. A significant upgrade. He stored the armor with satisfaction. The 2 books were titled Book of Forging and Records of Potions, both extremely rare and valuable. Feng knew that forging and potion making were difficult skills, and masters of these crafts were highly prized in guilds. With these books, he could create forging and potion masters himself. He recalled a hidden quest in Dark Moon Valley that granted forging talent and training, which, combined with the Book of Forging, would enable him to advance quickly and craft bronze equipment. To earn money, Feng stored the books and sent a mail to Blackie, asking him to meet at the trade area. Upon arriving, Feng found many players resting or selling loot. He found an empty spot, laid down a white cloth, and placed his equipment and herbs on it. Setting up a stall, he priced the level 4 common cloth armor at 1 silver 20 coppers and the bronze shield at 21 silvers. Fair prices for this stage. He shouted to attract attention, advertising rare herbs and high-level equipment. The players nearby, mostly selling materials, were stunned to see equipment for sale, especially a bronze shield at level 5. They whispered among themselves, amazed that someone had such advanced gear so early. Some expressed disbelief and frustration over the high price, as most earned less than 20 coppers and could not afford 21 silvers. Feng smiled quietly, knowing he did not expect these average players to buy the items but wanted the advertisement effect. Soon, a party of players arrived, rest, led by a shield warrior, drawn by the stall. Make way now that Shadow is here. We're buying everything on the stall. Everyone else, step aside. The members of Shadow parted to let their shield warrior through. Shurfeng recognized the man as Flaming Tiger, the team leader of Shadow in Red Leaf Town. In his previous life, Flaming Tiger had been responsible for much of the obstruction that prevented Shurfeng from rising quickly. Flaming Tiger, eyeing the blue cross-shaped shield, asked if Shurfeng was the stall owner. He then assessed Shurfeng, noting his novice equipment and lack of guild insignia, concluding that Shurfeng was likely an average player who had gotten lucky with the gear. Shurfeng confirmed he was the owner. Flaming Tiger declared he wanted everything for 1 silver, speaking as if the items were worthless and the offer generous. Shurfeng refused to negotiate prices and warned Flaming Tiger not to interfere with his business. Flaming Tiger's face turned livid as he coldly asked if Shurfeng was sure he wanted to oppose Shadow, giving him one last chance to reconsider. The 5 other Shadow members then surrounded Shurfeng. Shurfeng rolled his eyes and called them fools, noting that Flaming Tiger dared to threaten him inside Red Leaf Town, where such actions were prohibited. Flaming Tiger's eyes turned blood red as he threatened Shurfeng with death. At that moment, another group of over 10 players wearing Assassin's Alliance insignia approached. Their leader, Stabbing Heart, expressed surprise at seeing Shurfeng, recalling his feat of clearing the bronze prize challenge in 1 try and now possessing a level 5 bronze shield. Stabbing Heart respected Shurfeng even more. Stabbing Heart offered 24 silvers for all the items and proposed friendship, requesting that Shurfeng consider Assassin's Alliance for future equipment sales. He handed over the money without hesitation. Shurfeng accepted, waiving the previous 50 copper asking price and agreeing to future contact. The surrounding players were impressed by Assassin's Alliance's generosity, contrasting it with Shadow's behavior, and many considered joining Assassin's Alliance instead. Flaming Tiger's face flushed with anger as he summoned an assassin named Quiet Wolf to watch Shurfeng and teach him a lesson for opposing Shadow. Meanwhile, Shurfeng had already left the scene and was purchasing items around the trade area with his 24 silvers, an amount surpassing the total wealth of most guilds. He bought 20 bottles of black steel beer at 25 coppers each, 30 smoke bombs at 20 coppers each, 100 apple pies at 5 coppers each, which restored 30 HP per second for 10 seconds, and 100 magic water at 5 coppers each, restoring 30 MP per second for 10 seconds. After these purchases, only 3 silvers remained. Blackie, waiting in the trade area with a dark expression and resentment, finally approached Shurfeng, asking what they should do next. God's domain had been open for over 9 hours, and aside from earning an explorer title, Blackie had gained nothing, nearing despair. Shurfeng smiled and sent Blackie a party request, suggesting they grind monsters after leaving Red Leaf Town. Shurfeng led Blackie toward Dark Moon Valley. Blackie nervously questioned the choice, noting that Dark Moon Valley was a level 4 monster area and that safer locations might be better. He explained that challenging monsters 2 levels higher was usually only possible with at least a 6-man party, and even then was rare. Since Shurfeng was level 2 and Blackie a level 0 Cursemancer, fighting level 4 monsters with just the 2 of them was effectively suicide. Shurfeng reassured Blackie, saying he was already level 2 and that a friend who was an expert beta tester had shared secrets with him, implying he was on a rapid leveling path. Shurfeng attributed all unusual advantages to this good friend, making his actions in God's domain easy to explain and believable to Blackie. Blackie laughed, expressing relief and admiration for Shurfeng's progress, acknowledging that with guidance from an expert beta tester, Shurfeng could earn a lot of money in God's domain. He joked that his own being depended on Shurfeng. Blackie had been surprised to see Shurfeng reach level 2 so quickly, a level no other player in Red Leaf Town had achieved yet. Though Blackie had doubted the beta tester story initially, seeing Shurfeng's level erased those doubts and made him believe Shurfeng could earn 16,000 credits in 10 days. Shurfeng rolled his eyes at Blackie and told him to scram, slightly increasing the distance between them. Despite this, Blackie's gaze still held some impurities, causing Shurfeng to panic slightly. Blackie hurriedly explained that his dream lover was the snow goddess, Gentle Snow. Shurfeng had a deep impression of Gentle Snow. She had performed outstandingly in other virtual games, possessing not only an absolutely beautiful face and devilish body but also a proud attitude backed by excellent battle techniques. These traits made her even more popular. 3 years after God's domain opened, she had become a top-tier expert nationwide and ranked among the top 10 berserkers in the country. Known as the Battle Goddess, she had starred in many commercials, with a personal net worth exceeding tens of billions of credits. She also served as vice guild leader of Ouroboros, commanding millions of players with a single order at that time. Shurfeng was only a minor character in God's domain and could only look up to Gentle Snow's shadow. Unfortunately, she had suddenly vanished from the game, sparking much speculation. Blackie then pointed toward a snow-white fox in the distant paddy field, shouting that it was an an elite monster. Shi Feng looked toward the golden fields and saw a white fox holding a small rabbit in its mouth. Cunning snow fox, rare elite. He stealthily approached the fox and instructed Blackie to attack from a distance and leave the rest to him. Rare elites possessed the same capabilities as normal elites but offered much greater rewards and took a long time to respawn. Encountering one depended heavily on luck. Blackie warned Shi Feng that the level 2 elite was too strong for them to fight alone, explaining that only a small party of the same level could handle an elite and that fighting solo without healing would lead to death. However, Shi Feng had already circled behind the snow fox and launched a sudden attack. His sword strike narrowly missed a vital hit to the fox's abdomen, dealing only 32 damage. Shi Feng observed the fox's nimble movements and concluded its defense was not low. With the might of a thousand title, Shi Feng's attributes had increased by 10%, with additional points in strength and endurance, raising his strength to 13, endurance to 10, and agility to 17. His attack power was 29, and he had 260 HP. The enraged snow fox bit toward Shi Feng's neck, activating the skill Fatal Blow. Shi Feng's speed matched the fox's due to his high agility, allowing him to strike the fox's head with his novice sword just in time. The fox's attack dealt 49 damage to Shi Feng, reducing his sword's durability by 1 point, while the fox only took 5 damage. Difference in strength was clear. Blackie panicked, sweating as he realized the gap between damage taken from common monsters and the elite. He feared Shi Feng's death would cause him to revert to level 1. Losing his advantage, Shi Feng ordered Blackie to move. Reluctantly, Blackie cast a curse and fired a dark arrow, dealing 5 damage to the snow fox despite investing all points into intelligence. Blackie's attack barely affected the elite's defense. Shi Feng struggled as the snow fox's high agility allowed it to dodge his chop skill, forcing him to use normal slashes that dealt 18 damage each. Meanwhile, the fox's bites inflicted over 100 damage. After tens of seconds, Shi Feng's HP dropped to 31, while the fox still had 244. Recognizing the futility of a direct confrontation with an agility-type elite using limited skills, Shi Feng decided to burst. He drank 2 mouthfuls of black steel beer from his bag, becoming slightly drunk and blurry-eyed. Then, he activated gravity liberation, greatly increasing his speed and swiftly arriving beside the snow fox. At that moment, the snow fox's level displayed as 0, while Shi Feng's was 2, removing level suppression and increasing his damage output, though making his body harder to control. Shi Feng's eyes turned icy cold as he tightened his grip on his novice sword and unleashed thundering flash. 3 lightning, fast slashes across the fox's waist caused it to cry out in pain, dealing 30, 36, and 42 damage, instantly removing a quarter of its HP. He followed with another chop dealing 43 damage. Despite the fox's desperate resistance, Shi Feng's speed after activating gravity liberation gave him a decisive advantage. Even drunk, his battle experience allowed him to maneuver easily, turning the fox into his plaything. Blackie's eyes nearly popped out, amazed by Shi Feng's sudden ferocity. When the fox's HP dropped to 42, Shi Feng prepared for the final strike. Suddenly, Shi Feng felt a shiver down his neck, as if a dagger was pointed there. Instinctively, he leaped forward just as a bright snowy dagger slashed across his original position, narrowly missing him. Behind Shi Feng, a figure with an extremely surprised expression revealed himself. The newcomer had hidden his presence perfectly and made no sound. Despite raising to level 1 with 10 agility, his sneak attack had been dodged, leaving him astonished at Shi Feng's intuition. Shi Feng coldly told the newly appeared assassin that they had no hatred or enmity, and that it was unwise to act in such a manner. Quiet Wolf told Shi Feng that if anyone was to blame, it was himself for angering them. Shadow, and that regret was pointless now. He gripped his dagger in reverse, watching Shi Feng's every move carefully. Quiet Wolf had been tracking Shi Feng's location while following him and never expected to encounter an elite monster. The snow fox had targeted Shi Feng, and although Shi Feng was skilled, Quiet Wolf believed that with the snow fox holding him back, he could find an opportunity to finish off Shi Feng and then kill the snow fox, gaining all the benefits. The Necromancer accompanying them was insignificant in his eyes. The snow fox, indifferent to their plans, only focused on killing Shi Feng. Suddenly, the snow fox roared, its snow-white fur turning flaming red as it grew larger, and its HP increased by 20%. It activated its final skill, Tearing Bite, which amplified its damage by 50% and inflicted bleeding damage of 30 over 5 seconds. Quiet Wolf charged at Shi Feng, declaring that he would handle the snow fox himself. System announced that Quiet Wolf had attacked Shi Feng and entered a yellow name state for 1 hour, meaning players attacking him would not receive penalties. Shi Feng had only 31 HP left and faced attacks from both the snow fox and Quiet Wolf, placing him in a dangerous position. From a distance, Blackie scolded Quiet Wolf for his sneaky attack but was too far to intervene. He aimed his attacks at the snow fox, hoping to kill it quickly and prevent Quiet Wolf from benefiting. Mages had high output but found it harder to hit moving players compared to monsters, as players could easily dodge projectiles like Dark Arrow. As the Snow Fox and Quiet Wolf prepared to rush Shifeng, he smiled coldly, knowing Quiet Wolf's habits from years of interaction in shadow. Shifeng stepped back twice, forming a perfect triangle between himself, the Snow Fox, and Quiet Wolf, gripping his novice sword tightly in front of his chest and standing still. Quiet Wolf underestimated Shifeng, assuming he had given up since Shifeng prepared to block with his sword. Even defending would only reduce damage, but with 31 HP left, Shifeng could not survive a hit from the elite. The Snow Fox lunged forward with its tearing bite. Shifeng advanced instead of retreating, rushing toward the Snow Fox and blocking its bite with his novice sword. He activated the life-saving skill parry to block the frontal attack once, then lifted the Snow Fox and tossed it toward Quiet Wolf. Quiet Wolf, rushing in, could not react in time and was bitten on the shoulder by the Snow Fox, taking 164 damage, which reduced his HP to 0. Quiet Wolf stared at Shifeng's mocking smile in shock and unwillingness, never expecting a player to perform such a move. He regretted rushing forward, which led to his death. Quiet Wolf's body fell and turned into starlight, dropping a piece of equipment. Blackie, stunned and momentarily frozen, was reminded by Shifeng to attack the Snow Fox. Immediately Blackie resumed chanting curses and attacked the Snow Fox fiercely. Without Quiet Wolf's interference, the weakened Snow Fox was easily defeated and fell after releasing a wail within 10 seconds. System announced the kill of the rare elite Cunning Snow Fox, awarding 130 EXP. Shifeng, now level 2, was more interested in the loot than the experience. Rare elites were prized for their high drop rates, and this being the Snow Fox's first kill promised better rewards. Shifeng obtained a Blackwood Staff, bronze rank, and fox skin gloves, common rank, leather armor. The Blackwood Staff required strength 5, granted +8 attack power, +3 intelligence, +1 vitality, and +30 mana with 20 durability. It greatly enhanced a mage's capabilities. The fox skin gloves required strength 3, provided +4 defense, and had 20 durability. Quiet Wolf dropped a pair of level 0 common leathered shoes with +3 defense. Shifeng noted that Quiet Wolf's luck was better than expected, as obtaining common equipment early in the game was a matter of luck, which now benefited Shifeng. The new items significantly increased his defense. Shifeng offered the Blackwood Staff to Blackie. Blackie hesitated, feeling unworthy since Shifeng had done all the work, yet was being given the best equipment, a rare bronze item. At this early stage, Shifeng reassured Blackie that as a Cursemancer, once he reached level 1, he could fully utilize the staff's power, helping them level faster. After some thought, Blackie accepted the staff gratefully and promised to use it well. Shifeng laughed and announced they would head to Dark Moon Valley. In Red Leaf Town, Flaming Tiger scolded Quiet Wolf for dying and dropping expensive equipment, emphasizing how precious the item was. Quiet Wolf's expression darkened like still water as he recalled losing a pair of shoes he had spent 7 hours grinding for. Though he wanted to explain, he hesitated to admit he had been outmatched by Shifeng. Quiet Wolf told Flaming Tiger that he had discovered a rare elite in the wild but was ambushed by Shifeng and 2 others while trying to kill it. Outnumbered 3 to 1, he stood no chance. He suggested that Shifeng likely obtained good equipment from the rare elite and that they were heading toward Dark Moon Valley, proposing they pursue them to reclaim the lost gear. Flaming Tiger's eyes gleamed at the mention of a rare elite, and without questioning further, he gathered 11 Shadow Workshop members in Red Leaf Town and led them toward Dark Moon Valley, determined to kill Shifeng and recover the equipment. Meanwhile, Shifeng and Blackie had already arrived at Dark Moon Valley, standing quietly before a smithy beside a flowing creek. A bare-chested, middle-aged man wielded a steel hammer, repeatedly striking crimson red. Time passed slowly as they waited. Blackie asked if they would continue waiting after half an hour, but Shifeng insisted patience was necessary to receive the quest. Shifeng recalled that in his previous life, hammer trading had stumbled upon this smithy and, after persistent attention, had been given a hidden quest by the blacksmith, leading to the forging talent and eventual mastery. Shifeng aimed to obtain the forging talent and the book of forging to advance easily into an advanced forging apprentice, anticipating a profitable future. After more than 10 minutes, the blacksmith suddenly asked if they were interested in forging. Shifeng affirmed their passion, prompting the blacksmith to offer teaching in exchange for retrieving 100 pieces of meteorite ore from the west side of Crimson Star Mine. Shifeng accepted respectfully, and the system confirmed the hidden quest Road of Forging from Forging Master Jack. Crimson Star Mine housed level 4 kobolds, strong but short-limbed creatures with limited vision of 35 yards, the same as a mage's maximum attack range. Many kobolds patrolled the mine's entrance, and attacking one would attract the whole group. Shifeng produced a black steel beer and an apple pie, offering them to Blackie to prepare. Blackie ate and drank as instructed. 10 seconds after eating the apple pie, Blackie's attributes moods increased by 1 point for 30 minutes. After drinking the black steel beer, his vision blurred, and distant level 4 kobolds appeared as level 2 Shifeng stood, explaining the black steel beer's effect lasted 30 minutes. Then threw a smoke bomb near the mine's entrance, reducing visibility within a 10 by 10 yard radius for 1 hour. This reduced the kobolds' vision from 35 to 25 yards, preventing them from spotting attacks launched from 30 yards away. Shifeng ordered an attack on the kobolds within the smoke. Blackie hesitated but trusted Shifeng and began chanting curses, shooting a dark arrow that hit the foremost kobold for 21 damage. The kobold angrily scanned its surroundings, alerting nearby kobolds, but failed to detect the attackers and eventually calmed down, resuming its patrol. Shifeng reassured Blackie that as long as they stayed beyond 30 yards, the kobolds would not attack. Blackie gained confidence and continued firing dark arrows, gradually wearing down the kobolds for 20 HP. After over 20 shots, the kobold died, while the others remained indifferent. Blackie felt exhilarated upon killing a monster 4 levels higher, gaining significant experience despite sharing it with Shifeng. His experience rose by 5% instantly. Blackie would level up after killing 20 kobolds and remain safe and unharmed. The monsters did not disappear completely. Their leveling speed would be terrifying. With such an efficient method, they could rise to level 6 effectively. Blackie now understood Shifeng's confidence. Despite losing several hours traveling, grinding monsters here was definitely worth it. After some time, the group of about 20 kobolds in front of the mine's entrance was completely cleared. Blackie had reached level 1. After equipping the Blackwood staff and allocating all his free ability points into intelligence, his damage increased significantly, allowing him to deal 45 HP damage to kobolds with a single hit. Kobolds dropped 12 copper coins, a level 3 common cloth armor, and 5 pieces of meteorite or Shifeng noted that the drop rate of meteorite or from kobolds was low. Only 1 in 10 dropped it, and nearly 1,000 kobolds needed to be killed to obtain 100 pieces. Yet this small group had yielded 5 pieces after storing the loot. Shifeng used his 16 agility to lure more monsters, quickly drawing over 30 kobolds while maintaining a distance of around 20 to 25 yards. Once all the kobolds were inside the smoke cloud, Shifeng suddenly increased his speed, moving beyond 25 yards and causing the kobolds to lose their target and stand dazed. Blackie, positioned over 30 yards away, seized the opportunity to attack. The group of over 30 kobolds was cleared in less than 10 minutes, dropping another 21 copper coins and 6 pieces of meteorite ore. Both Shifeng and Blackie gained significant experience. Shifeng continued luring monsters while Blackie dealt damage. Though the process felt mechanical and boring, Blackie grew more vigorous with each kill, eager to continue without rest. After an hour, Blackie reached level 2. His dark arrow skill upgraded to level 3, increasing his damage from over 40 to more than 60. This rapid leveling thrilled him and motivated him to aim for level 3. Their efficiency improved with Blackie's increased damage, though dark arrow's higher level consumed more MP. Fortunately, Shifeng had purchased magic water, allowing Blackie to fully regenerate MP before the next group of monsters arrived, enabling continuous attacks. Shifeng observed Blackie's condition while luring suitable numbers of kobolds and collecting loot. The quantities of copper coins and meteorite ore steadily increased. After another hour, they had collected 73 pieces of meteorite ore, 6 pieces of common equipment, and 264 copper coins. Grinding for another hour would likely yield the remaining meteorite ore. At that moment, a system notification sounded. System, player Lonely Snow has sent you 10 copper coins. Shifeng received a communication request from Lonely Snow. Having just finished luring a group of monsters and with no other tasks, Shifeng accepted the call. Lonely Snow introduced himself as the player Shifeng had met at the town hall, mentioning that Shifeng had pointed him to a grinding spot. He expressed excitement about the location's advantages. No one stealing mobs and manageable enemies. He reported reaching level 2 and accumulating many materials and copper coins, confirming he had mailed Shifeng 10 copper coins. Lonely Snow had initially worried that Shifeng, as an expert, would ignore him, but he had earned over 60 copper coins and advanced to level 2, leading other players by a wide margin. Spending 20 copper coins for the spot had been worthwhile. Shifeng acknowledged receiving the 10 copper coins, recalling he had casually given pointers when he needed money earlier to kill the town mayor and did not mind payment. Lonely Snow invited Shifeng to join a party to enter the newly opened level 2 dungeon, Deathly Forest. He assured Shifeng that his friends were all level 2 veterans who would not hold him back and promised all swordsmen equipment obtained would belong to Shifeng. Lonely Snow appeared nervous, fearing experts usually disdained bringing rookies and emphasizing the veterans' presence to avoid rejection. Shifeng recalled the Deathly Forest dungeon, which opened once enough level 2 players gathered in Red Leaf Town. It was the town's first level 2 dungeon, known for its difficulty and only conquered after many players reached levels 4 or 5. The dungeon's primary purpose purpose was to increase the number of skills a player could possess, with monsters dropping basic skill books for every job. The most valuable item was a forging design dropped by the final boss, Werewolf Fellet, with very low probability. Shifeng's interest peaked at the forging design. As learning it would advance his plans, Shifeng agreed to join but set conditions. He would bring a Cursemancer, so all Cursemancer and swordsman equipment would belong to him, and all materials and design papers dropped by the boss would also be his. He asked if they agreed to these terms. Lonely Snow began sweating upon hearing the conditions, acknowledging experts' high demands. Still, considering Shifeng's strength as a beta tester, he reluctantly agreed and said he would inform the others. He asked when Shifeng would be free. Shifeng estimated Blackie's killing speed and suggested meeting at the dungeon entrance in about 2 hours, by which time they would have gathered 100 pieces of meteorite ore. Lonely Snow expressed satisfaction and said he would prepare. Ending the call relieved, 3 other level 2 players stood beside Lonely Snow. A handsome ranger asked what the expert had said, and Lonely Snow explained everything word for word. A shield warrior angrily cursed that the so-called expert was only there to take advantage and steal equipment, questioning the point of inviting him and suggesting that adding 2 more damage dealers would suffice to enter the dungeon. The male cleric standing nearby sneered, complaining that the expert claimed all mage class equipment belonged to his friend. Lonely Snow advised that the person was a genuine expert and a beta tester with deep knowledge of the dungeon, possibly able to guide them through it, and asked if they all wanted to clear the deathly forest. The shield warrior dismissed the beta tester's experience as outdated and of little use since the game data had changed after the official release, viewing beta testers as merely lucky rather than skilled. The leading ranger suggested waiting to see how things went after the expert's arrival, noting that if he proved unhelpful, more level 2 players would be available later, and finding someone else wouldn't be too late. The others nodded in agreement. At that moment in Dark Moon Valley, Shifeng reached level 3, though the level leaderboard had not yet opened. Otherwise, he would have been ranked first in Red Leaf Town. Shifeng immediately allocated 4 attribute points to agility, raising it to 20 points, triggering the activation of the hidden basic skill, Fast and Nimble, which greatly enhanced his body's freedom of movement, strength, agility, and senses, allowing him to better utilize his physical potential. Meanwhile, the last kobold that Blackie killed unexpectedly dropped a level 1 bronze equipment. Warboots Shifeng admired Blackie's extraordinary luck, as common monsters from level 1 to 3 typically did not drop bronze equipment, and the drop rate from level 4 wild monsters was 1 in 10,000. Blackie excitedly asked to see the attributes, and Shifeng displayed them. Recruits Warboots, bronze rank, plate armor, level 1, requiring strength 6, defense +8, strength +1, endurance +1, movement speed +1, durability 20/20. Blackie happily remarked that the equipment would make Shifeng even faster and felt relieved now that Shifeng had bronze equipment too. He then asked how many pieces of meteorite ore they still needed. Shifeng replied that only 4 more pieces were missing and that they would be fine after another wave. He checked his bag and found 96 pieces of meteorite ore, a quantity that would have taken others 5 to 6 hours to collect. But with Blackie's help, they had gathered most of it after killing just a few hundred kobolds. As Shifeng prepared to lure more monsters, his keen senses detected 3 blurry figures approaching from behind Blackie. He shouted for Blackie to dodge and drew his novice sword, rushing over with lightning speed. Blackie, still unaware and happy, did not notice the approaching threat. 3 figures revealed themselves as assassin players, one of whom was Quiet Wolf, the person previously killed. Shifeng knew that a mage ambushed by 3 assassins would die without question, even if Blackie was 1 level higher. The 3 assassins launched simultaneous attacks on Blackie, dealing heavy damage and reducing his HP by nearly half despite his common cloth armor. System notified that Guild Shadow had attacked their party, allowing all party members to attack Guild Shadow members without penalty for 1 hour. Blackie, realizing death was imminent and unable to match the assassin's speed, decided to retaliate before dying. He chanted a curse and fired a dark arrow at 0 distance toward Quiet Wolf. Quiet Wolf smiled disdainfully, confident that the attack would not kill him instantly, given his 80 HP at level 0. The dark arrow struck Quiet Wolf, causing 76 points of damage and leaving him with only a small amount of HP. Quiet Wolf and the other 2 assassins were stunned, unable to believe a Cursemancer could deal such devastating damage. Blackie himself was shocked by the power of the level 3 dark arrow. The damage resulted from the combination of the level 3 dark arrow, the high damage Blackwood staff, the aura effect of Might of a Thousand, and bonus damage from level suppression. Quiet Wolf quickly deduced that Blackie's staff must be a mysterious iron equipment, explaining the high damage. The other 2 assassins, lacking even common weapons, became eager to kill Blackie and seize his weapon. The 3 assassins attacked again, reducing Blackie's HP to 6. As they anticipated his imminent death and their acquisition of the mysterious iron weapon, again. Excitement filled them. At that moment, Feng appeared with unbelievable speed. Blocking Blackie's attackers, he parried 3 sword strikes from the assassins, creating sparks and sending all 3 flying backward. Before they could recover, 3 streaks of thunder appeared in their vision, striking the airborne assassins and dealing damage of 32, 41, and 50 points respectively, reducing all their HP to 0. Their bodies turned into starlight and vanished instantly due to their low defense and level suppression. The level 2 Thundering Flash was devastatingly effective. Blackie, stunned, looked at Feng's back and asked if he was Brother Feng. Everything had happened so quickly. Feng had appeared, blocked 3 attacks from different directions with 3 sword strikes, and followed up with a Thundering Flash so fast that the assassins could not react. Feng's actions and reactions were inhuman. Blackie, familiar with Feng, still found it hard to believe it was truly him. Feng's gaze swept around, noticing 8 players surrounding them. Led by Flaming Tiger, Feng no longer dared to linger behind and urged, "Why are you still in a daze? Let's go." Feng activated fast and nimble, fully freeing his body's movement despite his constitution, allowing him to keep up with his thoughts. His low attributes made controlling his body difficult, and mentally taxing. He could perform explosive maneuvers 2 to 3 times, but sustained use was impossible. The enemies included numerous healers and plate armored jobs, leaving Feng and Blackie no choice but to retreat. Blackie nodded repeatedly in agreement. Flaming Tiger, leading the opposing players, ordered his team to attack, demanding they secure the bronze equipment and take over the mine. He was excited, unfazed by the deaths of the 3 assassins, originally furious after spending hours searching for Feng and Blackie in Dark Moon Valley. Flaming Tiger's anger diminished upon witnessing Blackie use a smoke cloud at the cave entrance to kill level 4 kobolds. He nearly died from excitement and even considered thanking Feng for revealing such a valuable location. Flaming Tiger knew killing higher level monsters was difficult. Seeing Blackie kill level 4 monsters unharmed meant their leveling speed would skyrocket, potentially making him the leader of other players within 10 hours. This advantage could enable him to unite Red Leaf Town and possibly become Shadow Workshop's captain. Flaming Tiger fantasized about dominating Red Leaf Town, taking down large guilds, and enjoying luxury cars, beautiful women, and mansions. He silently appreciated Feng for providing this opportunity, though he remained determined not to let the bronze equipment on Feng and Blackie slip away. One berserker warned Flaming Tiger that the 2 were too fast to catch. Flaming Tiger replied that their speed was fortunate, but that the mine itself was enough. An elementalist asked about Quiet Wolf and the others, who had fallen to level 0 and lost skill proficiency. Flaming Tiger dismissed the concern, pointing out that the level 4 kobolds inside the smoke cloud would not attack players if attacked from a distance, making leveling easy. He ordered them to bring the others over quickly. The elementalist flattered Flaming Tiger, who angrily retorted that he was the #1 person in God's domain. Other shadow members laughed at the elementalist's bootlicking. Soon, 3 mages began attacking from a distance, while other players lured kobolds into the smoke cloud. Under Flaming Tiger's command, they killed the kobolds methodically. Members of Shadow expressed excitement about the experience gain, the ore and money drops, and the fast respawn rate of the kobolds. They believed grinding here until level 6 would guarantee their dominance in Red Leaf Town. Flaming Tiger boasted about his future as Shadow's captain, confident that he would reach level 2 within an hour, recovering from earlier losses nearby at Crimson Star Mine. Blackie ground his teeth in anger, questioning Feng about letting Shadow profit from hard-earned information obtained from a beta tester. Blackie expressed disdain for Shadow's shamelessness and relief at not having joined them. Feng, glancing at the system panel's clock, smiled indifferently and said they would let Shadow enjoy their gains for now but soon bring them sorrow. Time passed. Feng and Blackie killed level 4 roaming gnomes near Crimson Star Mine. These monsters were more agile than kobolds but had weaker attack and defense. Dark Moon Valley remained undeveloped, with plentiful monsters and no competition. Feng, now a level 3 swordsman, and Blackie, a level 2 cursemancer, used fast and nimble to evade attacks. Blackie's damage increased after drinking black steel beer. Feng tangled the gnomes in front while Blackie dealt damage from behind, making kills efficient and faster than grinding kobolds. At the Crimson Star Mine entrance, kobolds lay dead, with copper coins and ores scattered on the ground. Flaming Tiger praised the spot, noting that after just half an hour, everyone had reached level 2 with substantial money drops. He urged everyone to keep up the effort and ordered 3 newly arrived assassins to lure more kobolds. The mages, now level 2, increased the killing speed significantly. Luring over 30 kobolds at once was not enough for them. A berserker called out to Flaming Tiger, holding a dropped book. Flaming Tiger smiled and asked to see it. Upon receiving the book, he laughed loudly, declaring that not only had he taken over the spot the kid had found with great effort, but he also possessed a rare swordsman skill. He expressed eagerness to see the kids regret Quiet Wolf. His eyes flashing coldly with killing intent, suggested attacking the kid and his group who were still nearby, killing roaming gnomes, hoping hoping to save trouble. Flaming Tiger waved him off with a disdainful smile, saying they should let the others watch as they leveled up and earned money, becoming the tyrants of Red Leaf Town while their rivals could only watch in regret. Quiet Wolf, though still resentful, felt pleasure imagining Shifeng's frustration and exhaustion killing roaming gnomes. He vowed that when he reached level 6, he would kill Shifeng 60 yards south of the Crimson Star mine. Shifeng hid behind a tree, observing Flaming Tiger and his group. Aki expressed concern about whether the two of them could handle the 11 expert players from Shadow Workshop, including 2 healers. Shifeng reassured him that the time was almost up and instructed Blackie to stand at the back and kill anyone with low HP to prevent escapes. Shifeng pointed to the smoke cloud before the mine entrance, explaining that Flaming Tiger mistakenly believed killing higher-level monsters was easy. The smoke bomb they had placed before leaving had a 2-minute time limit, and only 2 minutes remained. He intended to teach them a lesson for stealing his domain. As the smoke cloud dissipated, an elementalist noticed and questioned Flaming Tiger, who brushed it off, thinking the cloud might be periodic, and instructed his team to continue grinding. Suddenly, over 40 kobolds with blood-red eyes glared at the Shadow Workshop members, growling angrily before rushing them. The Shadow members did not react in time and were quickly surrounded and beaten by the kobolds. 7 players died instantly, and the backline players fled in chaos. The kobolds swiftly caught up to the fleeing mages, delivering hammer blows that knocked them down permanently. Flaming Tiger cursed in confusion at the kobolds' sudden aggression and fled as the situation worsened. The group's hard-earned level 2 status was lost, with 3 assassins even dropping to level 0. Their dream of becoming tyrants of Red Leaf Town vanished, leaving them weaker than average players and far behind other guilds. Flaming Tiger felt deep pain in his heart. Shifeng blocked Flaming Tiger's escape path, greeting him with an indifferent smile and calling him Brother Tycoon. Flaming Tiger, realizing the kobolds' rebellion was Shifeng's doing, grew furious and charged at him with shield raised and short sword aimed at a vital point. His attack was simple yet sinister and difficult to stop. However, Shifeng dodged, disappearing from Flaming Tiger's sight. Then Shifeng appeared behind him and struck with his sword, dealing 36 damage and reducing Flaming Tiger's HP from 220 to 184. Flaming Tiger spun and used shield bash, but Shifeng anticipated the move, stepping back and spinning to hide behind his shield before attacking Flaming Tiger's back again, dealing another slash. Shifeng's attacks dealt only 23 damage each due to Flaming Tiger's high defense. Flaming Tiger, unable to land hits on the agile Shifeng and with only 83 HP remaining, resorted to taunts to provoke Shifeng into attacking. Shifeng calmly invited the attack, refusing to dodge. Flaming Tiger smiled silently, pleased that Shifeng had taken the bait. He raised his shield and charged at Shifeng, intending to force a hit with superior strength, but as Flaming Tiger closed to within 2 yards, Shifeng immediately used Thundering Flash. 3 streaks of thunder passed Flaming Tiger's shield and struck his body directly, causing 3 high damage numbers, 28, 35, and 41, to appear above his head, instantly reducing his HP to 0. Flaming Tiger glared furiously at Shifeng. Spitting out blood and rage, he cursed that if he had not rushed toward Shifeng on his own accord, he would not have been hit by all the attacks of that skill. Shifeng calmly remarked that he had promised to stand without dodging, but never said he wouldn't move his hands, mocking Flaming Tiger's gullibility for rushing over. He thanked Flaming Tiger for earning him so many ores. Acknowledging the time saved, Flaming Tiger pointed at Shifeng, intending to speak, but his body turned into starlight and vanished, leaving behind only a pile of ore and a single book. In Red Leaf Town's noisy plaza, flashes of white light appeared as the revived members of Shadow materialized, all wearing downcast and depressed expressions. They had just experienced the pain of gaining something only to lose it again. Levels and skill proficiencies decreased, and their experience was lower than before, leaving them worse off than average players. Flaming Tiger's expression was the most livid, his eyes burning with rage. The system announced that player Yifeng had killed them, causing their revival in Red Leaf Town after 3 seconds, along with a loss of 1 level and a reduction of all skill proficiencies by 100 points. Flaming Tiger bellowed threats toward Yifeng, his anger causing other players to avoid him cautiously. After venting, Flaming Tiger ordered Shadow's members to check their bags for dropped items. Despite the death's losses, the loot from killing kobolds was a small consolation. When Flaming Tiger inspected his bag, a bitter taste entered his throat, and he spat out blood. He immediately ordered the team to head for Dark Moon Valley to kill Shifeng. The rare skill book he had planned to use to ridicule Shifeng was missing, the most valuable item obtained from grinding kobolds, and it had fallen into Shifeng's hands, making all his efforts Shifeng's gains, fueling Flaming Tiger's unquenchable hatred. The other Shadow members did not understand Flaming Tiger's fury and believed searching for Shifeng now was futile, as he would escape and mock them elsewhere. At that moment, moment. Flaming Tiger's system communication rang. He cursed at the caller, demanding to know who disturbed him. The voice on the other end was icy and furious, teasing Flaming Tiger about his temper. After a day apart recognizing the voice, Flaming Tiger's face turned ugly as he addressed Brother Zhang, explaining he was educating his subordinates and insisting he had not spoken about him. Brother Zhang cut him off, revealing knowledge of Flaming Tiger's problems and the damage caused to Shadow's development in Red Leaf Town. He declared he would come immediately and relieved Flaming Tiger of his position as Red Leaf Town's team leader, temporarily appointing Silent Rain, the team's elementalist, as leader. If Flaming Tiger was not level 2 by Brother Zhang's arrival, he would be dismissed from Shadow. Flaming Tiger became spiritless, his hatred for Shifeng remaining undiminished. Meanwhile, in Dark Moon Valley, Shifeng and Blackie gathered the drops from Shadow's fallen members. Shifeng held the skill book dropped by Flaming Tiger and decided to learn the skill without hesitation. Skill Windblade was an action type requiring a sword, allowing ambush from 5 to 30 yards with increased movement and attack speed for 3 seconds, and a 25-second cooldown, a skill that greatly enhanced a swordsman's mobility and countered ranged classes. Blackie laughed loudly, collecting or from the ground, noting that the meteorite or needed was all present, along with quite a few bronze or crediting Shadow for helping significantly. He then picked up a piece of dark green ore and asked Shifeng what the star crystal was, ignoring the meteorite or at his feet. Shifeng turned to Blackie and confirmed it was indeed a star crystal, expressing excitement over Blackie's luck in finding such a rare item. He explained that every monster had a minuscule chance to drop a star crystal, making it a priceless treasure and the item he needed most. Blackie asked what the star crystal was for, noting Shifeng's rare excitement, but Shifeng only smiled slightly and said it was for eating, though not by players, without further explanation. After collecting all drops, 14 pieces of meteorite ore and 32 pieces of bronze ore, they had completed Shifeng's quest with some surplus. The two then arrived at the smithy. Shifeng handed Master Jack all the meteorite ore collected, leaving none behind, noting that these were quest items that sold for only 1 copper each to NPCs, making them utterly worthless otherwise. Master Jack praised the young man but emphasized that to become an outstanding forger, he needed enough strength to obtain precious ore. He instructed Shifeng to kill a powerful kobold chieftain to prove his strength as he stored away the meteorite ore. The system then triggered a hidden quest titled Road of Forging, requiring Shifeng to kill the kobold chieftain inside Crimson Star Mine within 1 hour. Upon seeing the second stage of the quest, Shifeng wished he could curse Hammer Trading, who had caused him significant trouble this time. He realized everyone likely kept secrets, making no one trustworthy in his previous life. Hammer Trading had not mentioned a second stage, especially a time-limited one against a chieftain monster which was stronger than a special elite and equivalent to a dungeon boss being only level 3. Shifeng knew the leader monster was too deadly for him previously. Hammer Trading had been level 16 when accepting the quest, making completion easy. Shifeng resolved to look at the challenge first, unwilling to give up since the forging talent was too valuable. Shifeng and Blackie cleared kobolds as they ventured deeper into the Crimson Star Mine. The kobolds inside were level 5, stronger than those at the entrance, requiring more time and energy to kill. Respawns often occurred before they could finish off one, so without enough black steel beer to reduce the kobolds' level by 2, their killing speed could not keep up with the respawn rate. After half an hour, they reached the mine's deepest part, a large empty area surrounded by over 10 kobolds mining ore. In the center stood a heavily armored kobold constantly commanding the others, the kobold chieftain, level 5 with 2100 HP. Heavy armor granted high defense, making physical attacks largely ineffective as a chieftain rank monster. It recovered 2% HP every 5 seconds during battle, regaining 42 HP each time, a significant amount that an average level 5 player might not surpass in damage within that period. Using smoke bombs to kill the kobold chieftain was impossible due to its wide vision range of 55 yards. Even with a 10-yard reduction, it would still see up to 45 yards beyond the 40-yard firing range of rangers. Shifeng examined the kobold chieftain repeatedly, laughing helplessly as he wondered if he truly had to use the magic weapon. Blackie expressed doubt about defeating the kobold chieftain, intimidated by its massive HP and the giant axe on its back, which could easily crush him. Shifeng admitted he did not know the mine offered no advantageous terrain, forcing them to fight head-on. The kobold chieftain was the most powerful monster Shifeng had encountered so far. He reflected that if he had more time, he would return at level 5 with full bronze equipment, giving him an 80% chance of success. However, little time remained on the quest, and killing the kobold chieftain within 20 minutes would require a small party of level 5 elites, which they lacked. Failing the quest would have dire consequences, as it was a one-time hidden quest. Shifeng's determination to complete it grew stronger. Reluctantly, Shifeng drew the magic weapon, Abyssal Blade. In his previous life, Shifeng Feng had seen only a few magic weapons, whose power commanded respect. Few could wield them properly. He recalled Crimson War God, who had gained fame during a guild war involving over 100,000 people by wielding the Crimson Ghost Axe and single-handedly defeating thousands. Leading to the enemy guild's retreat and founding the War God Empire, he also remembered the madman Windchaser, who defended a city alone with the magic weapon Evil Spirit's Roar, preventing thousands of enemies from entering within 100 yards and even sniping a guild leader from afar. Magic weapon users were renowned top-tier experts respected by all in God's domain. The system asked if Feng wished to bind the Abyssal Blade. He took a deep breath and chose to bind it, disregarding the backlash. If others could control magic weapons, he, as a reincarnated player, would not lose to them. Upon binding, Feng felt his strength drain, and his level dropped rapidly to 0 moments later. A new force surged through his body, making his constitution stronger than when he had been level 3. Reviewing the Abyssal Blade's attributes, Feng was shocked. Abyssal Blade, magic weapon, 1-handed sword, attack power 24, all attributes plus 10 attack speed plus 3, ignores monsters level by 5 attacks, have a 15% chance to deal double damage and a 10% chance to inflict doom curse, reducing all stats by 30% for 20 seconds. If the wielder belongs to any swordsman job, all skill levels increase by 2, and free ability points gained per level increase by 2. Equipment level 0 can be leveled up by devouring 10 level 5 bronze equipment and 1 level 5 mysterious iron equipment up to level 5. Can be evolved. Unknown. Additional skill 1. Phantom Kill instantly creates a controllable doppelganger with 50% of the original's attributes and skills. The doppelganger and original can be swapped, lasting 30 seconds cooldown for additional skill 2. Abyssal Bind was 5 minutes. This skill bound enemies, preventing movement and reducing their defense by 100% for 3 seconds. Additional skill 3. 9 Dragon Slash had a cooldown of 1 minute and instantly created 9 phantoms of the Abyssal Blade for the wielder to use. Each phantom sword could deal up to 30% damage, lasting 20 seconds. The Abyssal Blade had been personally created by Master Smith Alice's using the Black Dragon King's fangs as material. It was one of 36 famed swords, ranked 31st, but cursed by the Black Dragon King. While it granted immense strength to its wielder, a backlash would occur after a certain period. If the wielder failed to suppress the backlash, the curse would permanently reduce all attributes by 50%. The sword could neither be dropped nor traded. Despite its attributes and numerous additional skills, the Abyssal Blade was considered a god's weapon, though it was one of the lower-ranked famed swords. First, ranked sword remained a mystery in the clearing. Blackie expressed shock at Feng's level 0 status, questioning how he had fallen back to that level, especially facing the Kobold Chieftain. Feng reassured him, instructing to use smoke bombs to clear the small mobs first and to leave the Kobold Chieftain to him. He opened the attribute panel and allocated all 6 free attribute points into agility, raising it to exactly 20 points and activating the hidden skill, fast and nimble. Eager to test his sword against the Kobold Chieftain, Feng prepared for battle. Character details displayed. Yifeng, human, affiliated with the Star Moon Kingdom, titled Might of 1,000, swordsman, level 0, HP 460/460, attack power 72, defense 4, attack speed 10, movement speed 8, attributes, strength 24, agility 20, endurance 22, intelligence 13, vitality 13. The system activated hidden basic skills, smashing fists, due to strength reaching 20 points, allowing destruction of trash weapons with bare hands, and robust physique, due to endurance reaching 20 points. With these skills activated, Feng could now utilize his full potential and was no longer a 3-second hero. Though level 0, his attack power and attributes surpassed those at level 3, and his HP rivaled that of a level 5 shield warrior. Combined with his high-level skills, he was confident in fighting the Kobold Chieftain. While Feng adjusted to his body, Blackie cleared all surrounding kobolds, leaving only the Kobold Chieftain. Feng instructed Blackie to wait for him to pull aggro before attacking. Then Feng stepped forward and rushed at the Kobold Chieftain. Using Wind Blade, Feng reached the Kobold Chieftain before it could react and slashed twice at its neck, causing blood to splash and the creature to scream in pain. 2 damage numbers appeared above its head, 63 and 128. The Kobold Chieftain finally reacted and lifted its giant axe, but before it could strike, Feng delivered another sword flash through an unprotected area. Dealing 105 damage, the giant axe landed on the ground, creating a large crater, but Feng had already retreated and followed up with a level 4 thundering flash. 3 streaks of violent thunder passed through the Kobold Chieftain's body, inflicting damages of 84, 101, and 123. Feng had taken over 600 HP from the Kobold Chieftain after a single exchange, astonishing even himself with the Abyssal Blade's power. Blackie, standing at a distance, was even more dumbfounded. The Kobold Chieftain became enraged by the heavy damage from Feng's surprise attack, its bleeding wound fueling its fury. It raised its its giant axe and bombarded Shi Feng with relentless attacks, unable to react appropriately. The chieftain attacked aggressively and instinctively. Under the fierce assault, even a level 5 shield warrior or guardian knight would perish instantly. Shi Feng was forced to retreat, dodging the incoming rubble the size of fists that could cause significant damage. Man and beast exchanged moves at high speed, and average man would not have managed a single move and would have been killed by the giant axe. After 7 or 8 seconds of dodging, Shi Feng shouted at Blackie to hurry and attack, as he could not hold on much longer. They faced a chieftain boss, not a mere elite. The chieftain boss possessed intelligence and varied attack patterns, adapting to specific players. Strength was 2 to 3 times that of a normal elite, making it at least 4 times stronger overall. Though Shi Feng had only exchanged blows with the Kobold chieftain for a short time, it felt like several minutes. Blocking attacks and occasional counterattacks had already cost him over 100 HP. If the fight continued, his HP would soon reach 0. The Abyssal Blade greatly increased Shi Feng's attributes and activated 3 crucial hidden basic skills for melee combat, allowing him to perform extraordinary attacks and dodges. Without the Abyssal Blade, Shi Feng would have died long ago. Realizing his mistake, Blackie finally reacted and rushed to help. He waved his staff and chanted a curse, then aimed at the Kobold chieftain and shot a dark arrow. The dark arrow struck the Kobold chieftain, dealing only 17 damage. Blackie's mouth dropped open in astonishment at the chieftain's defense. He could usually deal over 50 damage to a level 5 monster, but this was only a third of that amount. The chieftain's defense was truly shocking. By contrast, Shi Feng dealt over 100 damage per hit, showcasing his immense attack power. In the midst of battle, Shi Feng abruptly slashed the Abyssal Blade. The black light pierced a gap in the Kobold chieftain's attack. The Kobold chieftain's giant axe was pushed back slightly in midair. Pausing, Shi Feng took 3 steps backward before stabilizing, suffering over 30 damage. Shi Feng expressed satisfaction, noting that his strength was just barely enough for the attack to work. During battles within God's domain, players could not only defend and dodge but also interrupt a monster's attack, causing it to stop briefly and ending its offensive. This high-level battle technique became popular about half a year after God's domain's opening, especially in boss battles. If the main tank MT did not learn such techniques, the party would likely be wiped out, as no players could block a boss's relentless attacks. The Kobold chieftain's momentary pause revealed a weak point. Shi Feng rushed in without hesitation, gathering all his strength into his hand, gripping the Abyssal Blade tightly and continuously striking the Kobold chieftain. 4 streaks of sword light hit the unarmored parts, and with damage amplification, Shi Feng's attack instantly took away 300 HP. Adding Blackie's attacks, the Kobold chieftain had just over 900 HP remaining. The Kobold chieftain went into a frenzy, throwing its giant axe to the side and pulling out 2 machetes from its waist. Its weapon change altered its attack patterns. If it had been a berserker wielding the giant axe, it now fought as a dual-wielding swordsman, combining strength with agility. Its attack speed increased significantly. After Shi Feng dodged one blade, the other followed swiftly, forcing him to block with the Abyssal Blade. The clashing weapons produced dazzling sparks, and Shi Feng was sent flying while still midair. Shi Feng saw the Kobold chieftain leap with its machete raised for a frontal assault. He hurriedly used parry, blocking the machete, but fell heavily to the ground like a meteorite as he landed. The Kobold chieftain's twin blades plunged downward, aiming for his chest. Able to dodge, Shi Feng activated Phantom Kill, creating a doppelganger 3 yards away and swapping places with it. The twin blades stabbed the doppelganger's chest, causing over 300 HP damage. As the Kobold chieftain smiled excitedly, Shi Feng appeared behind it, the Abyssal Blade glowing faintly black. Shi Feng unleashed 9 dragon slash. 9 phantoms of the Abyssal Blade floated around him, dancing like playful sprites and continuously piercing the Kobold chieftain. Small damage values appeared rapidly, and including Shi Feng's chop and normal attacks, the Kobold chieftain's HP dropped close to 500. Seeing the Kobold chieftain attempt to turn, Shi Feng used Abyssal Bind immediately, immobilizing it for 3 seconds and reducing its defense by 100%. The pitch black chains from the Abyssal Blade held the Kobold chieftain in place while the 9 blades continued attacking, each hit dealing over 20 damage. The Kobold chieftain's HP quickly fell to around 200. The Kobold chieftain bellowed and became thoroughly berserk, its body size doubling. Shi Feng watched the 3 seconds pass. The berserker's strength increased by at least 30%, but all of Shi Feng's attacks and life-saving skills were on cooldown. The Kobold chieftain's mocking expression appeared as it swung its twin blades toward Shi Feng at arrow-like speeds. At this life or death moment, Shi Feng noticed a Kobold miner respawning nearby. He activated Gravity Liberation followed by Wind Blade, dodging the twin blades' chop and rushing toward the miner. The Kobold chieftain stomped the ground, charging toward Shi Feng. Blackie, watching the fight, felt chills but continued firing dark arrows, though the Kobold chieftain's speed made hitting it difficult. The distance between the chieftain and Shi Feng was over 20 20 yards, giving Shi Feng a chance to defeat it with the 9 Abyssal Blade Phantoms. However, the Kobold Chieftain's explosive strength was underestimated. Its strength, defense, and agility had greatly increased. It covered the 20 yards in just 2 seconds and swung its twin blades, splitting the Kobold Miner in two and showering blood 5 yards around. The slash narrowly missed Shi Feng's cheek as the Kobold Chieftain prepared to slash with its other blade. Shi Feng raised the Abyssal Blade, unleashing 3 streaks of thunder that penetrated the monster's body. Moving its last 130 HP. Seeing the chieftain fall, Shi Feng exhaled in relief. The chieftain was incredibly strong. Even at level 5 with bronze equipment, Shi Feng would have been killed without luck. The level 4 Thundering Flash's 24-second cooldown finished just in time to save him. The system announced the level 5 Kobold Chieftain's death, with a level difference of 5 granting 500% increased EXP and awarding 2350 EXP. Shi Feng's experience rose to 76% of level 1. The system congratulated him as the first player to kill a chieftain monster, increasing the Kobold Chieftain's item drop rate by 200% and adding 10 reputation points. In the Star Moon Kingdom, suddenly, the Kobold Chieftain's body expanded rapidly until it exploded with a boom, scattering a pile of items across the floor. When the Kobold Chieftain exploded, items scattered everywhere, and copper coins covered the floor in a glowing copper light that illuminated the entire mine, celebrating Shi Feng's victory. Blackie sat paralyzed on the ground, cold sweat covering his body, as if all his strength had been drained. He paid no attention to the drops scattered on the floor. Battle had been incredibly difficult, leaving no time to even breathe. Every moment had been a soul-shaking ordeal. The intensity of the fight had relentlessly tested Blackie's heart. Without a strong will, he would not have endured it. Shi Feng, having battled the Kobold Chieftain head-on, must have possessed an extraordinary heart. Blackie shouted loudly in excitement, praising Shi Feng as his idol and expressing his admiration for the calmness Shi Feng exhibited after the victory. Previously, Shi Feng's strength had been above average but still within reach for Blackie. Shi Feng used to be quick to excitement and prone to conflicts over trivial matters. Now, however, he was completely different, calm, decisive, and exuding a serene power like a dormant dragon that, when awakened, could shock the world. Shi Feng smiled slightly and teased Blackie, asking if Gentle Snow was still his idol. Blackie affirmed Gentle Snow as his idol, but insisted that Shi Feng was also incredible, especially after defeating such a powerful Kobold Chieftain. He expressed a desire to learn how to play a Necromancer from Shi Feng, dreaming of becoming a professional gamer. Shi Feng agreed to teach Blackie, recalling how Blackie had resigned alongside him in their previous life and sacrificed a lucrative job to share hardships. Though Shi Feng had never played a Necromancer himself, he had observed many experts and understood the general development path well enough to offer guidance. Blackie asked whether he should allocate all his points into intelligence early on. Shi Feng shook his head and explained that while full intelligence was not bad initially, agility was essential for a powerful Necromancer. Agility increased movement speed and casting speed, which were crucial because Necromancers lacked life-saving skills, were slow, and relied heavily on chance. Their spells were weak, relying mainly on curses that required time to unleash. Shi Feng advised Blackie to allocate 20 points into intelligence first, then invest half of his free points into agility to ensure safety and increased damage. Shi Feng recounted a powerful Necromancer from his previous life who defied tradition by investing heavily in agility, enabling rapid and fierce damage and dominating in player-killing scenarios by evading melee attackers. Blackie nodded in agreement and smiled, deciding to follow Shi Feng's advice. After their discussion, Shi Feng and Blackie began collecting the drops from the Kobold Chieftain, which were abundant due to its chieftain rank and the first kill bonus. The loot included 8 pieces of bronze equipment, 1 gray giant axe, 2 plate armors, 2 leather armors, and 3 cloth armors, along with 273 copper coins and 3 skill books, Mach 4 shield warriors, Silent Steps 4 assassins, and Evil Whip 4 Necromancers. Shi Feng remarked on Blackie's luck, noting the rarity of the Evil Whip skill book, a potent control and damage skill for Necromancers. He handed the skill book and 2 level 2 cloth armor pieces to Blackie. Blackie quickly learned the Evil Whip skill, which bound targets with thorns that dealt damage when broken. Equipped with the new skill and armor, Blackie's intelligence rose to 20 points, increasing his spell damage to 48 and unlocking the hidden basic skill, Rapid Cast, which allowed skipping chance of spells under 1.5 seconds and improved focus on attacking. Shi Feng examined the 2 plate armors, the recruit's heavy armor and the black steel arm guard, favoring the latter for its attributes. Level 3, requiring strength 9, providing plus 14 defense, plus 2 strength, plus 2 endurance, and plus 1 agility with full durability. The recruit's heavy armor was mediocre compared to level 5 sky armor, but still valuable for sale. The 2 level 3 leather armors were also suitable for selling. Among the equipment, the gray giant giant axe stood out as the most valuable, especially for berserkers. It was level 5, required strength 15, provided plus 21 attack power, plus 5 strength, plus 2 endurance, and had full durability. Shifeng planned to create hype around the axe to sell it at a high price. After gathering the loot, Shifeng and Blackie returned to the smithy. Shifeng respectfully presented the Kobold Chieftain's skull to Master Jack, announcing that he had killed the Kobold Chieftain. Master Jack, who was hammering away on steel, glanced at the Kobold skull and, after confirming that Shifeng had killed the Kobold Chieftain, said with satisfaction that Shifeng truly had the right to inherit his forging skills. The system notified Shifeng that he had completed the hidden quest road of forging, learned forging, become a basic forging apprentice, and obtained the forging talent, Forging Genius, along with 10 pieces of 100 refinement steel. Master Jack explained that Forging Genius granted a fixed chance to increase 2 proficiency points after a successful forging, significantly improving Shifeng's efficiency in advancing to the next rank. Becoming an intermediate forging apprentice required 1,000 proficiency points, which typically took over 10 days for an average player due to high failure rates and material waste. The forging talent would save Shifeng materials and money. The 100 refinement steel could increase the success rate of making bronze equipment by 10%. Although eager to start forging with his new talent and book of forging, Shifeng realized he needed a large supply of materials, which would require substantial funds. Making common equipment would not be profitable, and bronze equipment required forging designs he did not possess. He resolved that the Deathly Forest was a necessary destination to obtain a valuable bronze equipment forging design known for its cheap production and good attributes, a design that had made many forgers rich in his previous life. As Shifeng turned to leave, Master Jack called out, expressing newfound respect and surprise at seeing a magic weapon, specifically the pitch-black sword hanging at Shifeng's waist. Master Jack requested to examine the sword, his tone filled with a burning desire rather than indifference. Shifeng hesitated briefly, but understood the logic. A famed sword forged by a master smith was a lifelong pursuit for master forgers. Master Jack assured Shifeng that he only wished to see the sword and would not let the examination be for nothing, inviting Shifeng to state any requests in return. Excited by the opportunity to interact with a master forger, Shifeng agreed and handed over the abyssal blade. Confident that NPCs could not steal items from players, Shifeng allowed Master Jack to inspect the sword as he pleased, planning to request a secret, silver one-handed sword afterward to fully display a swordsman's strength. Master Jack held the abyssal blade, praising its delicacy and strength despite its fire-poker appearance. After over 10 minutes, he reluctantly returned the sword to Shifeng, warning that although it was a powerful weapon, the curse it bore was extremely evil. The more its power was unleashed, the stronger the curse would become, eventually trapping its wielder in an endless abyss. Controlling the sword with strength alone would be difficult, and the curse could easily consume the user. Shifeng acknowledged this danger, explaining his previous hesitation before binding the abyssal blade. He asked Master Jack if there were any methods to weaken the curse, admitting he knew some but lacked the ability to perform them currently. Master Jack informed Shifeng that the sword was forged by the Master Smith Alices and was one of only 36 famed swords in God's domain, each containing the sealed souls of unimaginably terrifying beings killed to grant the sword's unparalleled power. Suppressing these swords required immense power, making control nearly impossible. However, Master Jack smiled and said that weakening the curse was not entirely impossible. Shifeng inquired about the method. Master Jack explained that to suppress a great power, an equally great power was needed. The curse was a power sealed within the sword, and to weaken it required sufficiently great luck. He described lucky stones, rare stones that gathered the luck of God's domain, which could counterbalance the curse. Although these stones could be found throughout the continent, very few people obtained them, and even Master Jack had never seen one. Finding a lucky stone was extremely difficult, and only those blessed by God could acquire one. Seeing Shifeng's disappointed expression, Master Jack consoled him, emphasizing the rarity of lucky stones and that not finding one was normal. Shifeng then smiled slightly and produced a dark green-colored star crystal, asking if it was a lucky stone. Master Jack nodded, recognizing it as such, but then stared at Shifeng in stunned disbelief as if looking at monster. Shifeng shrugged, indicating it was nothing extraordinary. Shifeng had been sluggish earlier upon discovering that Master Jack could use the lucky stone to suppress the abyssal blade's curse. While there were many master forgers in the Star Moon Kingdom, only a handful could use a lucky stone to weaken a magic weapon's curse, and Shifeng had never expected Master Jack to be one of them. Shifeng asked Master Jack if he could now weaken the curse. After a moment, Master Jack regained his composure and, feigning indifference, assured Shifeng that he could finish within half an hour. Nearby, Blackie struggled to contain his laughter at Master Jack's stunned expression and eventually ran into the forest to laugh openly. Half an hour later, Shi Feng received the Abyssal Blade and noticed changes in its description. The blade, forged by Master Smith Alices from the Black Dragon King's fangs and ranked 31st among 36 famed swords, remained cursed by the Black Dragon King. It still granted immense strength, but now had a greatly reduced backlash thanks to Master Jack's remodeling with a star crystal. If the wielder failed to suppress the backlash, the curse would permanently reduce all attributes by 50%. Relieved by this update, Shi Feng stored the Abyssal Blade and saw numerous messages from Lonely Snow asking why he had not arrived and how much longer he would take to reach the Deathly Forest. Shi Feng replied that he would come immediately and suggested to Blackie that they dive into a dungeon. Blackie expressed excitement, eager to try out new spells. Upon arriving at the Deathly Forest's dungeon area, Shi Feng and Blackie found the area crowded with level 2 players forming parties to enter the dungeon. Shi Feng shook his head slightly and headed toward Lonely Snow, who waved eagerly. In Shi Feng's previous life, players had been stuck at the Deathly Forest for a long time, with the dungeon only cleared once. Most players reached level 5. Lonely Snow, anxious after waiting, urged Shi Feng to hurry, explaining that his friends were growing impatient. He then led Shi Feng and Blackie to the party's gathering point. The male cleric, Wordless Summer Night, mocked Shi Feng's novice equipment and the fire poker hanging at his waist, implying it was trash. Shield Warrior, Battle to the End, sneered as well, recalling that Shi Feng had wanted to claim all plate armor and mage equipment immediately after joining, which they resented. They had been ready to invite others and enter the dungeon if not for their boss wanting to see Shi Feng. Lonely Snow wanted to defend Shi Feng, but found no opening due to Shi Feng's poor gear and remained silent. The party leader, the handsome male ranger waving slowly but surely, interrupted, urging everyone to party up quickly since many had already entered the Deathly Forest and they risked losing the chance for the first kill. Blackie wanted to argue, but Shi Feng stopped him, choosing to ignore the ridicule since they had kept the others waiting over half an hour and could allow a few more jabs. Once the party formed, the Shield Warrior angrily accused Shi Feng of being a level 1 noob trying to swindle equipment. Wordless Summer Night questioned the wisdom of allowing a level 1 player into a level 2 dungeon, fearing they would get wiped out. Lonely Snow was shocked to see Shi Feng's level, as many players had already reached level 2. Waving slowly, looked at Shi Feng and asked if he had died before entering the Deathly Forest. Shi Feng honestly replied no, but insisted that entering the Deathly Forest at level 1 was sufficient. Waving slowly, coldly told Shi Feng to leave, saying they did not need such an expert in their party. Lonely Snow tried to explain it was a misunderstanding and suggested they try it out first. Wordless Summer Night laughed scornfully, questioning who would bear responsibility if they died and lost experience, even if minimal, and doubted the noob could compensate for such losses. Waving slowly repeatedly told Lonely Snow not to make things difficult and insisted that only veterans would enter the dungeon. Gave Lonely Snow 2 choices: follow them into the dungeon or leave the party with Shi Feng. Shi Feng chose to leave the party to avoid embarrassing Lonely Snow, telling Blackie they would form another party to enter the dungeon. Blackie agreed without hesitation. The Shield Warrior mocked Shi Feng's departure, ridiculing Lonely Snow for being gullible enough to be tricked by such a noob, and advised him to learn from boss. Waving slowly. In the future, Lonely Snow's face turned livid, but he remained convinced that Shi Feng was indeed an expert. Lonely Snow apologized to boss. Waving slowly before deciding to leave the party, intending to join Shi Feng to verify his own judgment. Waving slowly was stunned by Lonely Snow's decisiveness, considering it a foolish choice and noting he would have expelled him long ago if not for his good skills. Wordless Summer Night glanced at Lonely Snow with a cold smile and warned him not to regret his decision, predicting he would regret it for years after they cleared the Deathly Forest and acquired valuable equipment.